It's like we are recording.
This is the call to order during Village Commission hearing. Today is October 4th, 2023, here at 111 Front Street, room 204. It is 4 p.m. The next business meeting will be Wednesday, October 18th, 2023 at 12 noon, here at 111 Front Street, next door, room 205. The next hearing will be Wednesday, November 1st, 2023 at 4 p.m. back here in room 204. Go to swear and staff. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And your name?
Nicole Urson.
Thank you. Introduction of Commissioners present. Start down the left over there. AJ?
AJ Minerva.
Ned Field.
Anthony Hart, key chair.
Rachel Schultz.
I'd like to welcome Commissioner Schultz here on the commission. We'll move ahead to the approval of staff approvals. Those begin on page 15 or 15. Page 8 of your agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself from 622 Mohawk Street.
You recuse myself from GV 2310-010363 Jackson.
If there are no other recusals, I move to approve the staff approvals or ratify the staff approvals.
Any questions, or is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Going on to the meetings from last month, September 6, 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Is there a second?
On.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. On to the certificate of appropriateness, item 1, GB-23-10-017, 911 City Park. Is there an applicant for 911 City Park? Yes. Come on up to the table. Once you're settled, will you please raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And your name for the record?
Brian Rambo.
Thank you.
This is an exterior building alteration to install a radon mitigation system. To install a new radon mitigation system on the north elevation behind a fence. The exhaust pipe will vent 12 inches above the roof eave and be 10 feet away from the windows. The exhaust piping is to be painted to match the siding. In this case, it's actually brick, so it's brick color on the house, and so as to blend in visually with the building service as much as possible. It's to be painted Dutch Boy, which is BHG 515 on the area over the orange brick. And to be painted Sherwin-Williams cyberspace or SW7076 to match existing where the pipe meets the gutters and eaves. The staff analysis is at the October business meeting, the commission requested additional photos of the property and the site plan be updated to show property lines. Photos requested include photos of the other side of the house on the street, and the house view from the rear yard. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends approval with any clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of a certificate. And the basis for the staff recommendation is 311611, standards for alteration, 1, 10, 11, 12. And that is it.
Anything else to add?
No, we're just looking to have this done probably by the end of the year, hopefully.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Where's the property line on the north side of your house?
So on the north side, if you look at the one that has the photo of the house, the property line is the sidewalk. So there's a fence to the rear that juts out. That's our property. So it was
Is that, I'm looking at the fence, so it's to the right of the sidewalk?
yeah. So basically, our property line goes right to the sidewalk from what the side.
Okay, so it's about a foot or two off the house.
Yeah. Yeah, because the south elevation of the house is all windows and dormers.
Yep.
And the only location that the vendor indicated would be appropriate due to the fact that there's the ability, you can't have the system venting near windows and doors, so was the north
I'm
elevation.
trying to remember what's the north of your property.
Another house, and then you have the parking.
Yeah, and that walk is,
The house, the
Yeah.
storefront.
so that walk is the entrance to their house, but you have a driveway on the south side,
Yes, and it's all windows and doors on the other side.
regardless of that.
Yeah,
I think it's inappropriate to be asking your neighbor to be looking at that on the front side of their house. I really do.
what, so I guess I'm just trying to concerned on how do we vent it appropriately with the windows and dormers based on.
That's up to your contractor to figure out. I don't support it, putting it on the north side of your house. These are not pretty architectural elements. This is,
Because the other house has one on the side facing the parking lot.
well, it's a parking lot.
No, I get that. I think I was gonna say.
I've got one that I look at every day from my patio and I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, so when I was also, the contractor indicated, because there is a fence and part of our house is inside the fence, that they could put it behind the fence, so then probably 3/4 of it would be obscured by the fence. So
If
the
you can go farther back and behind the fence, absolutely.
okay, yeah, there is space to be able to.
Yeah,
to put it
I totally support that, getting it way in the back, behind that fence,
Okay,
so your neighbor doesn't have to look at it. It is the public approach to his front door, or her front door, or their front door. I think the kind thing to do is not disrupt that for them.
okay, so if they can just slide it, because where you see B, if they slide back just a few feet, they'll be on the
Excellent.
other side of the fence.
Excellent. Totally would support that.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
I agree as well. So would you like to amend the application to have it be located behind the fence?
okay,
Be basically.
Beyond meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there are no other comments, Mr. Chairman, on GB 2310-17, 911 City Park Avenue, I'd like to approve as amended very nicely by the property owner that the mitigation system is pushed as far to the west and behind the fence.
And install behind the wood fence.
Behind the wood fence.
Is there a second?
I second.
Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have the motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 2 has been withdrawn. Item 3, GB-23-09-035, 158 Jackson Street. Applicant for, come on up. Price is right. Once you're settled, if you please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And state your name for the record.
Ricardo Casillas.
Thank you. Oh,
This application is for landscaping to relay all existing brick in a herringbone pattern, which involves removing the existing brick, cleaning and relaying, to reduce the size of the existing flower beds and raising the existing flower beds, leveling out the bricks as needed, to install a cooking and bar area, installing a fire pit that is a portable fire pit and not a built-in fire pit, to install a sauna per submitted site plan. The sauna is to be the Zeno two-person sauna to be approximately 72 inches wide by 47 inches deep by 77 inches in height. And the sauna is to be round in shape. To install a built-in sitting area, to install exterior artwork hung on the existing wall of the house. The staff analysis of the September business meeting, the commission noted that similar saunas had been reviewed before by the German Village Commission. HPO staff found that a sauna had been reviewed and approved by the German Village Commission at the December 2020 hearing. The sauna was approved for installation at 914 City Park Avenue and measured 71 inches deep by 55 inches wide by 72 inches high. The sauna height approved in 2020 measured at 6 feet in height, which is the existing fence line height. And staff does note that the proposed sauna is 77 inches in height, which may be visible above a standard 6-foot tall fence. However, the property does not have the standard 6-foot tall fence. At the October business meeting, the commission requested the site plan be revised to show the structures and to note streets and buildings, asked for the height of the existing fence, and requested a photo of the sauna's proposed location showing the view from the street. The applicant did provide that the existing fence was 100 inches tall, which is 8 feet 4 inches, and that the proposed sauna should not be visible from the road because it will be positioned between the fence and the back of the garage. Prior to 1997, the fence at this property was a standard cap and rail style fence. In 1997, with GV 97-5-11, The GVC approved modification to the existing fence to its current style. But the 1997 COA did specify that the new fence or the existing fence to be modified would be no higher than 6 feet in height. So the additional trellis did not follow the approved COA. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends the commission offer feedback and continue the application to allow time for the applicant to admit their designs to be more in line with the Durham Village guidelines and city code. The basis for staff recommendation is 311613, Standard for Site Improvements A. The Durham Village guidelines for walk, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots, 1, 2, and 4.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, just a few things. The landscape walls, we wanted to just leave them at the same height that they are, because we realized if we were to raise the beds, then it would interfere with some of the windows and one of the patio doors. If you look on that page there, there's a rounded step where there's some doors that open. There's windows in front of those two beds on either side. So we just wanted to keep it the exact same elevation. That way it doesn't go above the window, if that makes sense. Another thing is the bar area. We wanted to just eliminate that and just do brick in that corner, but still do a grill across from it. Which it isn't really actually a grill, it's like an island that you just position your grill into, sort of.
Setting the sauna aside, any comments, feedback, questions from the commission on everything else but this?
I can't figure what's interior and what's exterior and what's exterior adjacent to what they're proposing. My bottom line is, what can I see outside the fence?
Right, outside the fence.
What are you
really-
doing outside the fence?
Really none of it.
Nothing along the alley?
Nothing along the alley.
So this is all inside the fence, all inside the enclosure?
Correct.
Okay, I'm good.
The only question was the sauna and the height of sauna over the fence. Identified the fence was 100 inches tall.
Yeah.
It's got that.
It
peekaboo trellis.
looks like it's back in the northwest corner.
Yeah,
I don't know how you're gonna get into it based on what I think it is, but that's your problem.
the door will face the yard, basically.
Okay, I thought it was perpendicular to there, but anyways,
It's wider than it is deeper.
yeah, okay. Yeah, as long as it's all inside the fence is tall.
Is there any city code about the placement of this sauna? in relation
Not
to
to
building
my
or anything?
knowledge. It's like a smaller residential size sauna. It's nothing major, I don't think.
So sometimes there's like hot tub requirements and that kind of stuff. So if this gets approved and you do come across something with zoning code that forces you to move or relocate something, contact staff and come back to us
Okay,
rather than just installing it without the approval. So
right on. Okay.
that's the headache for you.
And then the fence, it's kind of fallen apart. It's rotted in several places. They wanted to rebuild it, pretty much match the same style, but if there's an issue with the height, we wouldn't be able to exactly match that. So I wanted your opinion on that.
So typically what's approved is a solid fence, 6 feet tall. So there's a picture in that with showing the fence somewhere, I believe.
So are we able to still have like a decorative additional foot above the fence? Because, so from the alley, it's a little bit taller than 6. And when you're inside the yard, inside the backyard, the elevation of the brick kind of brings you up to where it's above 6 feet. You know what I mean? And if you're standing in the house, 6 foot from the alley wouldn't quite cover the windows very well. And I think that might be why they wanted that top
So-
section with the rail.
So this fence dates from 1997, is that correct?
The COA indicated the applicant could either add a trellis to the existing fence or build a new fence. So it's not clear.
This has basically been there, it's been forever. that
At
I-
least 97, it's been there.
Yeah, so this is 26 years old. To me, it's grandfathered in. As long as you just repair it.
If it goes back like for like,
Yeah,
I think it's approvable. If you're looking to do solid all the way up to the current height, that'll be an issue.
Yeah, no.
our 6 foot is typically from the public right of way. So in this case, the alley level, 6 feet up. The statement I give to applicants when they're talking about privacy fences is the purpose of privacy fences for folks looking into the yard, not privacy if you're looking out of the yard. So if your interior space is taller, that is what it is. It's for folks walking outside to be able to look into the yard.
Okay.
That's where the 6 foot guideline comes from.
Gotcha.
So if you're gonna put it back the way it is, you're fine. If you're looking to deviate from that with a change in the design, that would need to be submitted to us what the design wants to be before you proceed with the work.
Okay.
So I think this is a new owner in the last year, I think, or year and a half, 2, whatever. They've kind of inherited an architectural statement in the village with that fence.
Yeah, if I could keep it the same way,
Yeah.
you guys are fine with it, then that'd be ideal. I did it.
Staff would like to note that fencing is not a part of this application, so you would need to submit a new COA application for fencing.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that involve like another meeting or?
If it's like for like, it should be stamped.
It should be staff.
With something that is not typically within guidelines, it's kind of up to, I mean, it's always up.
Well, staff, like for like, no
So
matter what it is, has been,
I will,
I agree.
I'll
Okay.
confirm with Jamie when we
Yeah.
review the application. That's the historic.
Our position would be like for like.
So
Okay.
I'll share that you all commented on at this hearing, so again, all the information.
If it does have to come to a hearing, if it's like for like, we're gonna be safe.
Okay.
It is a unique fence.
Did not get approved today. Great. Any other questions on the application?
Mr. Sherman, if there are no other further comments on item GB 2309-036, I move to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 4, been withdrawn. Item 5, GV-23-09-037, 1010 Nigger Street. Once you're settled, please raise your right hand. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
VJ Kudapudi.
Thank you.
This application is for landscaping and hardscaping. In the front yard and south side yard, it includes the removal of existing landscaping and the installation of new plantings to include boxwood, boba hydrangea, millennium, allium, and European hornbeam, everlow yew, hostas per submitted site plan. To modify the existing sidewalk, and the existing tree is to remain. In the rear yard, the application includes the removal of all existing landscaping and the installing of new plantings as listed in the agenda. The removal of a river birch tree to plant 2 large cucumber trees to offset the loss of the tree. To install a small plunge pool measuring 7 feet 4 inches by 12 feet by 38 inches with a 12-inch limestone coping and buff wash concrete pool surround. To install a new patio and oversized steppers. The steppers are to be set in crushed gravel. To install a metal trellis on the garage, and there'll be in three pieces. To install 2 window boxes on the garage, and to install a 6-foot decorative wood screen. Staff analysis at the September business meeting, the commission requested explanation of the work to be completed on the existing brick sidewalk. The applicant responded and clarified that the modification is to simply lift and stage the existing curved brick walkway, to repair, reinforce the existing gravel base, add a stone step, and to reinstall the staged brick in a more linear layout as designed. HPO staff finds the addition of a metal trellis and window boxes would not be typical features found in the garage and would not encourage decorative elements. The following is taken from the now approved September 2023 GBC hearing minutes. Commissioner comments. Before the commission will approve tree removal, an arborist report stating an issue with the tree should be submitted. The current arborist report only discusses the need for tree removal for the proposed landscaping design, as the design may cause damage to the tree. If the tree cannot be removed, the landscaping plan needs to be revised to show including the tree. The commission discussed splitting the application, but the applicant preferred continuing to allow time to revise their design and/or consult with the arborist about the tree. The applicant has amended the application to plant the 2 cucumber trees to offset the loss of the tree instead of the previously suggested saucer magnolia. The applicant has also provided an updated arborist report with more information. Staff would like to note a neighbor has submitted a letter supporting tree removal, which has been given to the commission to be read at the hearing tonight. The staff recommends the commission offers feedback and continue the application to allow time for the applicant to amend their design to be more in line with German village guidelines and city code. The basis for that recommendation is 311-613, standards for site improvements A and B. German village guidelines for walks, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots. 1, 2, and 4. German village guidelines for site lighting, street furniture, pools, fountains, and gazebos, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And German village guidelines for ornamentation for trim brackets, hood mold, shutters, and light fixtures, 2.
Anything else to add?
Not at this time.
All right, I'm gonna read a letter in from a neighbor, and then we'll open up to the commission for questions, comments. So this starts out from Jeremy Daughtry and Lucas Pacheco. Sorry if I butchered that. They're at 1004 Yeager Street, Columbus, Ohio 43206. They write, "To whom may concern, we're the direct neighbors to 1010 Yeager Street. We are writing to urge the removal of the failing river birch tree in the backyard of 1010 Yeager Street. During the last few years, the tree has been a nuisance to our yard, causing damage to our outdoor kitchen, fire pit, and lounge chairs directly below the tree. Damage has been caused to the fire pit and lounge chairs by the large fallen branches. We've had to repair the fire pit and replace the chairs. There's a pool adjacent to the area, and our concern is for the damage to our property, including the pool and the house. The tree does not appear to be in good health. Leaves are brown and falling in the out of the season. There's a constant stream of debris falling into our pool. I believe the previous homeowner had a large portion of the tree removed due to a possible wetwood bacterial infection prior to selling the house. At that time, we asked about removal, but she said she'd leave that for the next owner. Our fear is that this infection has spread out of parts of the tree from the looks of it. The tree being so close to our home creates great concerns of further damage to our property should the tree fall during a storm. The new homeowners are planning to do work around the tree. When speaking with the neighbors, the arborist report indicated that the root system is so extensive, the smallest amount of work could result in even further damage to the tree, putting both of our homes at risk for damage and safety concerns. We'd ask that you allow the homeowners at 1010 Yeager Street to have the tree removed. Thank you, Jeremy and Lucas." Opening up to questions, comments from the commission.
So do we get a revision for the arborist, what his statement was on the tree?
The new letter should be in the materials packet. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it
The
either.
third,
I believe it's the, what page is that?
3, and then there's one in.
So the one at 9 is the first one, and the one on page 3 is the new one.
Page 3.
Ah,
Be interested in Karen's comments?
Well, I mean, river birch trees are not, they don't have the longevity
Mhm.
of a lot of shade trees. So I frankly don't see a problem with removing it, given that 2 substantial trees are being replaced. My question would be, what is the size of the cucumber magnolias that are being installed as replacements? We would like to see those as large as possible.
Yeah, my intention is to plant the largest ones that I can find. I haven't engaged with a landscaper yet, so I'm just not sure what's available, but I believe they grow to somewhere between 60 and 80 feet when they're mature.
Cucumber magnolia is actually a native tree, which makes it a little more difficult to locate of substantial size. But I do support the idea of planting a native tree.
is there,
It's more abundant.
What would you recommend for a minimum caliber that he should be, that would be acceptable for us to replace this?
You know, we actually put one in on Ohio State's campus a few years ago, and 3-inch was the largest we could find in a nursery. So if you could do a 3-inch, that would be appreciated.
If it's not available, a 2 would be.
Yeah.
2 3/4.
Two's really
Close to 3 as
small.
possible.
I'd be happy to do that.
Also, help you get a better rooting of that tree when it gets placed too.
That doesn't mean it has to come from Ohio either.
Correct.
What for the tree?
Yeah.
You can go, you could source it from Tennessee. I think you have to be careful not to go too far south.
Yeah.
Because then you have issues. We tried to go north when we're sourcing things as opposed to going south, but
Buckeyes that we're installing from the state of Ohio currently are all coming from out of state.
yeah.
Same place we can find big enough one.
Staff did have comments on the window boxes and metal trellises on the garage. Any comments from the commission on those items?
It's internal, to me, it's internal.
But my one concern is, we had a metal trellis on the front facade of the house recently. My big concern is any kind of ivy vines growing on a facade can be problematic. We were talking on that application about how far the standoffs are with a wood siding garage, especially with part of this being a historic garage. I think that one part's a newer addition. Making sure that we aren't ending up with vines and growth going underneath the boards of that, and get enough airflow behind there so it doesn't get too wet, rot.
Okay. I think as it's currently, we're planning to do clematis on those, but I'm more than happy to strike that and just not put it in. It's not a major feature for me of this.
I
Can't see clematis being a problem.
I'd leave it up to the.
Landscapers?
I don't think clematis would be a problem. The other option, let's see which way you're faced. Back in that area, you could use a climbing hydrangea as
Okay.
well, and it's gonna stay forward
Okay.
of the trellis, I would think, because it has a more woody stem.
I won't let that hold up my vote. So. Are there any issues with the application as it stands based on the conversation we've had?
Mr. Chairman, if there are no objections, I will move on GB 2309-38, 1010 Yeager Street to approve as submitted with the commitment of the owner that it will be 3-inch caliber cucumber, something or other trees, magnolias.
Magnolias.
Thank you, magnolias.
Thank you.
Second on the motion?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to item 6 was.
For item 6, the applicant asked that staff represent the case, so we can see that at the end.
All right, we'll push item 6 to the end. Just remind me. We'll jump ahead to item 7, which is GB-23-10-018-865 South Fifth Street. Once you're settled, you'll raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Please state your name for the record.
Austin Souls.
Thank you. Cool.
This is an application for an exterior building alteration to replace windows on the home. To replace 7 windows in the primary structure with the interstate composite wood windows and the prefabricated white. Staff notes that the interstate composite wood is made from the website is made from a proprietary mix of specialty polymer and acrylic resins. And staff does note there are 11 windows on the house. The remaining 4 windows we propose for replacement at a later date. Staff analysis is that the applicant applied to replace the windows at 865 South Fifth Street, and staff informed the applicant of the approved window list. The applicant elected to move forward with their selected window, the interstate composite wood material. At the October business meeting, the commission requested the applicant bring a window sample to the October hearing. In 1997, with GB-97-2-6, all of the kitchen windows were approved for replacement with all wood double hung true divided light 2/2 windows. That COA suggests that future window replacement was planned, but there were no COAs for any additional window replacements that were approved or even heard by the commission. From the photos, it does appear that the other windows in the home were replaced after 1997, but clear photos would be helpful for a final determination. While HPO staff would support the windows on the property being replaced, HPO staff does not support the interstate composite wood window. If the German Village Commission approves the application, HPO staff would encourage the approval to be approved as a test case for the windows. Staff recommendation is that the staff recommends continue the application to allow time for the applicant to select a window from the approved window list. The basis for that recommendation is 311611, standards for alteration 12356, and the German Village guidelines for windows 1, 2, and 4.
Anything else to add?
No, it's just not a vinyl window, and I know that's important to you guys, so.
So you guys sample, we see that.
Is it okay if I put it on the table? If I cover it? Would that be easier for you to see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll put it over here. Ooh. It's nice and heavy, that's for sure. So I didn't know what you guys specifically wanted to see on it. I know the important thing is just wood elements, wood features. They call it a composite wood. Interstate's a manufacturer out of Pennsylvania. And the only reason we're not using one of the windows on the selected list is because this is the location of America's Best Choice Windows, is the brand name. They have 25 locations nationwide. And they have an exclusive contract with Interstate. Now, they do make vinyl windows, but they also make this window, which they came out with about 7 years ago, called the composite wood. It's not wood at all. It's made to look wood, you know, with rounded edges, as you can see, instead of lift rails, simulated divide lights, which just means that the grids are on the outside, not in between the glass, like a vinyl window. And then same thing goes for the outside of the window. The outside profile is made to look more wood. It's got those wood designs, the curvatures, it's got the actual sloped sill. The whole goal was for somebody to look at this window and not know if it's wood or not from the road. And so that's what we're looking to put in these houses. We've been getting a lot of people interested in using us for German Village for probably about 3 years now, but we haven't done a job because we weren't on the approved list. And then me and my partner decided that maybe now is the time to go in here, see what we need to do to get it on the approved list, since it should meet all the requirements that you guys are looking for, hopefully, so.
So you represent this project and it's also your house?
This is, no, it's not our house. So we're
Okay.
doing the project for this customer, and
Okay,
then I'm the owner of the company at the Columbus branch.
okay.
So
This is just a sample.
So how does the owner feel about not doing a approved window list?
They said that they looked at a lot of the companies that had those. What you typically end up seeing is the main brands that have one of the approved windows is usually the Pella, Marvin, Renault by Anderson. The only downside with that is they've earned the right to charge what they charge, but it's pretty expensive. And so they wanted to look for things in there that would fit in their budget. So we didn't really know when we were coming out that it was in German Village, and we sat there and we went over their options. We're like, listen, if you want to work with us on this, we're gonna have to go get approval. We're gonna have to go through this process, but in the process, we could save you a decent amount of money. And so that's what they decided.
Are you aware of how all the windows on the window list were vetted and approved?
No, I don't know
The
the how.
process.
I don't know the process.
It was extensive. It was over more than a year. Went through all the commissions, there were meetings with chairmans and vice chairmans, I believe, to get to the bottom line.
Yeah.
My position on this is, and I'm very sorry to say this to you, is I'm not willing to make this a test case in the village. That if this is an appropriate window, go through the city process and get it vetted, you're good to go across the city then.
Okay, so that's a specific process outside of German Village.
Yes, it's outside, it's with the Historic Preservation Office,
Oh, okay.
and they manage it. It goes through all the commissions, gets input. Once you're on the list, you're good to go.
Good to go.
I am not for making a test case of this.
No, you're fine. I thought it would be a good test case because a lot of the windows are mismatched right now currently, too.
I am very hesitant anymore of this commission, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sticking our necks out on test cases. We got them scattered all over the damn village.
Yeah.
And nobody's doing feedback on them, and that's not an expression. We just can't get to
Yeah.
it. And they're hanging out.
Gotcha.
I think what would be helpful, again, moving forward to help get you some guidance on what was looked for during the big review process. If these are installed elsewhere in the city somewhere,
Yeah.
outside the villages, getting a listing of where those are at, that gives us a real world scenario to take a look at.
Yeah.
Some of the details that came into play were the size of your median rail versus your top bottom rails, styles.
Yeah.
Are the dimensions historically appropriate?
Yeah.
Looking at the literature online, before having seen this, it looked like all the median rail and the top and bottom rails were all the same size, which would not be typically appropriate because you're not matching the historic proportions. The mitered joints, some of the windows we had, the actual sashes had mitered joints. Obviously, yours don't.
Yeah, the
Literature
section
showed it, but
frame does, yeah.
yeah. So the sashes have the horizontal joints, which is more appropriate.
Yeah.
So those are some we looked at, the jams, especially on the outside. Some of them, if you had a black factory finish,
Then it'd be
the
white on the
jams
jam.
white or silver, which would be having a jam cover versus not having a jam cover.
Yeah.
That came up, I remember, as one of the big things. The divided lights, appropriate, not appropriate. A lot of times you get that shadow line in there. You can see with the white window, you get that black shadow line.
Yep.
So having non-divided lights, to have a single pane would be appropriate potentially, whereas the divided would not.
Yeah.
So those are some things we looked at specifically in that effort. I think this one has the storm window on the outside. We have to look at that separately. A lot of the stuff online was all images of the inside of the properties, not the outside. For the commission, we're more worried about the outside than the inside. So that's kind of the whole shebang of what we'll be looking for. I'm usually a advocate for test cases, but that's usually on things where we don't have approved lists. Trying to get to it approved. Since we have a very long list of approved things, I'd rather get this through the approval one by myself.
I did have to go through the approval list for, what is it, up in Dublin, Muirfield. And we did do some jobs up there for them. And so I figured it would be a similar process, but yeah, you know, whatever.
All for a cost-effective, good product that meets guidelines.
Yeah, right.
I'm in window replacement right now and I get it.
Okay, so going forward for me, it should just be, hey, take my efforts more through the city's
Yeah,
approval.
work with staff, they can get you in there. Has there been talk internally about that process at all?
I did discuss with, the historic preservation officer, James Goodman, about this particular case, and he's the one who recommended that approval, if approval was considered, for it to be done as a test case rather than an alteration to the approved window list, just because of the lengthy process the approved window list has undergone. And that nothing can be added to the approved window list without review by all of the commissions, so. I can inquire for more information, but, that's what I have at this time.
I think this is a conversation between the manufacturer's rep and you guys and getting it done.
Sure.
Getting it on the list.
Yeah. If I could take just a minute, I'd like to see it. So we got the sample. I want to take a look at it close up, if everybody's okay with that.
Sure.
I'll be one of the ones that have to go to that meeting.
Yeah, that's good. But we're gonna scum my thing. It's an A-sample one. It's been a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's.
can you take a point? I feel like such a hero today. So
If it was painted black, the J might have been white, so we can use that. It does come in an interior option as well, so I would think that we would for it.
Nice to get a sample.
I was planning to leave.
Yeah.
It's 3 days, I don't know why there's 3 days.
So you would have that. Yeah, it's joints. That's in here. Those are just flush. That big tail. And me. Yeah. With that, because it would mimic the wood, would look totally. So.
I was trying to compare to some of these aluminums that are obviously, yeah, the fiber axis or those are other pieces.
We have 16 or so.
Yeah.
Submitted, we got down to 8.
I wish I could do some.
So I think the options or the path forward at this point in time, I mean, you could continue it. I'm not sure how far you can get in a month, but it leaves the application open if the client would like to proceed with another product. If we vote on and deny it, then you have a few options. Not sure how far you get with that. Or you could just,
The best thing is to continue
I
it.
think
And you can decide in a month if you want to continue it again. We'll keep continuing it until, what, under circumstances, whatever, but yeah. Give you time to figure out what you want to do.
I didn't want to automatically close a book on you.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, I would like to eventually get into German Village, because I mean, we've been here for 3 years and we've done a lot of houses around Columbus. I'm like, well, eventually I'd like to do these
Yeah.
houses. So I know they're always needed and replaced, and so, yeah, I'd like to continue with them.
Mr. Chairman, on GB 2310 865 South Fifth Street, I move to continue. Before, I got corrected. Did you guys do a site walkthrough? I mean, you said you'd support the replacement of the windows, but I wasn't sure why you were taking that position.
We haven't done a site visit, but given the photos and the existing COA for replacements, it indicated that they're most likely all replacement windows. We would like to see more photos of the other 4 windows to confirm, but
So my recommendation is the owner should have them take a look at it sometime here going forward. Okay, that's my, make a motion.
So motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Moving ahead to item number 8, GB-23-10-019-640 Mohawk Street.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself.
Okay. Once you're both settled, if you'll please raise your right hands. Sorry. Good. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
All right, start with your name.
Jamie Wild.
Chris with Everlasting Roofing, Chris Hodge.
this is an application for an exterior building alteration to replace the slate roof with asphalt shingles. The application is to remove the existing ribbon slate on the roof and to install GAF slate line shingles and English gray slate on the roof. The true slate that is on the dormer walls is to remain. Staff analysis at the October business meeting, the commission requested clarification on what slate was included with the slate walls, requested a second slate assessment, and requested staff have previously issued relevant COAs to the full package. Staff have added the previously issued COA from 2018 for the addition. Photos from that submission show that the slate on the dormers as existing prior to the construction of the addition. Staff recommendation that staff recommends, and this is actually, I apologize, this is a typo, this should not say staff recommends approval at this time. Staff does recommend, it's a copy paste error, not a typo, but staff recommends to continue the application until, to allow time for a second slate assessment to be provided. The basis for the staff recommendation is 3011611, standards for alteration. 5, 6, and 11, German Village Guidelines 2005 amendments for slate replacements. Sections from that 2005 amendments.
Anything else to add?
I think so.
Questions, comments from the commission? Question for staff is your recommendation to, due to just the second assessment?
Yes.
Mr. Walbach, you had submitted a letter in here, correct?
Yes.
Just reiterate what your opinion is on what's there.
That's one I struggle with because, one reason I come here is because I want to tell the truth, but I think about more than half of the slate roofs that get torn off can be saved, but then there's budgetary and realistic other factors. And I think that, so this one I struggled with, but the age of the roof, I was able to retrieve nails from the original ribbon slate, and they were the tinned ferrous nails, but they were dissolving entirely. And so that's one of the factors on the roof. And then the ribbons are another factor. Both the ribbons were moving on both the north and south. So yes, it can be maintained, but yes, it's gonna be expensive now, so. um, So really, I'd rather answer questions than try to sum it up or make a, if you follow me.
Understand.
Because I like the slate roof. And I'm a different company, I'm not, I'm not with the client or the roofer, I don't get paid if they get approval or not approval.
Well known around the village. And for the commissioners present, I think it really comes down to, do we have enough information here to make a call on replacing the roof without the second assessment that we would typically require? Tend to be more stickler for the rules myself. Open opinions before we take a vote.
It may also be helpful for the distinction to be made between where they're considering the dormer slate begins and ends. So what slate exactly will remain and what slate will be removed. That was just out of this meeting. We don't have.
On the walls is everything that I intended on leaving. The walls seem to be in decent shape. It's just the roof is what's getting replaced. Or
It
hopefully
would be
getting replaced.
it would be the rear gable roof, both sides.
Yep.
And the approximately 12-inch apron going across the front and back of the dormer, and there's a rake in the front.
Yep.
The rake in the front's the same kind of gable and reflects the shape of that back roof. The ribbons fail based on where they are and what they go through, and also their orientation. So a lower pitch, the ribbons give out sooner. The steeper pitch, the ribbons can last a long time.
So I'm gonna have to ask for a vote if there's no other questions or comments, because I think it's a black or white, yes or no, this one.
Unless we continue it for a second opinion.
Unless it's continued for a second opinion. So that question goes to the applicant. Would you like us to vote up and down, or would you like to?
The question I
He
have
asked
is,
me to provide
yeah,
a second
he's the
opinion.
second opinion, and I'm the applicant and he's the second opinion. Or am I needing basically a third opinion? is what I'm
It's
wondering.
two opinions of individuals not doing the work.
Oh,
The reason being is.
I
that's the-
apologize. I did
It's
not.
okay. It's the sense, it's the appearance of, I'm not saying this is, you would do
No.
this, but some contractor would say, well, yeah, it's gotta go because I'm gonna do the work.
No, absolutely. I completely understand. I just, for whatever reason, I always thought it was just me, the applicant, plus one other. I
That
didn't
was the
realize
joke
that it
back
was
in the
two.
80s.
So,
They would say if a roofing contractor would certify that your slate roof could not be saved, and everybody used Sears because they would joke about it.
Right.
Your roof cannot be saved by us.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand there's,
Basically, two contractors that would work in the slate roof business,
Okay.
not just asphalt shingle.
so two others besides.
Yes.
Okay.
Apologize if that wasn't made clear.
No, that's okay. For whatever reason, always thought it was just one other. I apologize.
And I'll make the statement that we, as a commission, we know that roofs are past their lifespan, trying to save as many as we can because they're a vanishing breed of roof. It's one of the sacred cows that we have.
I've worked on a few of them in the village trying to
Yeah.
save them, so
Yeah. So
I get it.
would you like to continue the application to get the second opinion, or would you like to take a vote on it?
Out of,
doesn't cost anything. Doesn't cost anything to continue it.
if I say let's continue and you guys deny it, do I have to wait until November?
You can talk to Julie and then decide whether you want to withdraw or you
Okay.
can show up.
Yeah.
And give them supplemental things before you.
Let's go ahead and see what you guys think.
Okay. All right, so applicant is asked to continue. Are any questions before we take the vote on continuing?
No, I don't believe, I mean, the only question would be is if you guys do deny it and she would still like to move forward with trying to replace it. Do I have to wait until November? Am I able to just submit things to Nicole, as far as that goes?
If we continue the application, and you get get the second opinion,
Third opinion.
third,
Yes.
it would have to come back to the hearing for us to take the vote on it.
Okay.
If the owner decides they want to move forward with maintaining the roof, or replace it with shingles to kind of match, that could probably move to staff approvals.
Okay.
Wouldn't have to come to us to get approval to maintain the roof.
Okay.
But if you do want to move forward with replacing the slate with shingle, then yeah, we have to come back.
Okay.
But you'd be on the agenda already, top of the agenda as a continue.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Okay,
do this.
all right. Is
Quick
there a
question,
motion?
quick
Yes.
question. Oh, you go ahead and do your motion and then I can do it. It's a
That's the
different
question.
address. It's not a test case. So we did a test case and then am I supposed to do something on a test case that I brought through a couple years ago?
With the test
Like
case,
it was a red TPO.
when it's been installed, you let staff know that it's been installed, which I know it has. Staff will contact us to take a look at it, and then we come back 1 year later, take a look at it.
It's 181 East Beck. It's been a couple years.
Yeah.
And then we'll take action on that.
And I'll put a business card on the edge here. I can, it's emails or calls or texts and
Sure, I'll reach
I
out to
can
you about it.
get you information.
All right. All right, so with that, is there a motion on continuing the application?
I don't want to disrespect the sign.
That's okay.
Anybody want to make a motion to continue?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I move to continue application DV 2310-019.
I will second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we clarify who made the second? Thank you.
All right, moving ahead to item number 9, GB-23-10-020, 217-219 East Whittier. Yes. Once you're settled, you can raise your right hand. I just swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes,
And your name is?
Kelly Winger.
Thank you very much. We wait 1 second, we'll get you back in here.
Sure.
Approaching the dais.
This application is for an exterior building alteration and gutters. To remove and replace the existing box gutters and stop gutters. Paint all of the elements in custom color match in brown. To replace all existing roof, including the slate roof section with GAF Royal, Sovereign, and Ding Dong Ray, and to install the tenor red ridge roll. Staff analysis, the October business meeting, the commission requested additional photos and a map of the property that shows the gutter location, specifically which gutter type is in which location. And the commission requested clarification on property ownership on if the property is single family ownership. Staff recommendation is that staff recommends that the commission offers feedback and continue the application to allow time for the applicant to provide more clarifying details necessary for understanding the extent of the repair and the replacement work proposed. The basis for that recommendation is 301-611, standards for alteration, 5, 6, and 11, and the Durban Village Guidelines, 2005 amendments for slate roof replacements.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, this one's a fun one. The front of the house, the second story has the stop gutters. The lower section has box gutters, lower front. There's multiple different types of shingles on this house. On the front, you have slate, which is in dire straits. On the right-hand side, you have 3 tab shingles. On the rear of the home, you have dimensional shingles. And on the left-hand side of the home, from the front facing, you have slate line shingles. So they have like a trifecta going on here. The shingles on the front porch are 3 tab. So what we're trying to do is make it all match. Now the slate on the walls we're keeping that. The only slate I want to remove will be that in the front. The rest of it's all shingle. Currently.
So from the first page, the top center photograph, or second, sorry. The yellow area, which is the second floor roof, that is all the stop gutter, correct?
Yeah, the one that's wrapped in the green on the front porch, that right there is a box gutter.
Okay.
And then the stop gutter is on the second story.
Okay. Questions, comments from the commission? We'll say in general, I have no problem with all the non-slate being set to be one type of asphalt. When it comes to removing the slate, goes back to the previous application of 2 assessments. I don't see any real close-up photos of the shingles, obviously. That's, so I don't have good documentation of what's there. I don't have the second, third opinions. But I'm okay with all the rest of the stuff coming off and becoming a single type of asphalt shingle. That's me.
I agree.
I agree with that as well.
Because it's just on that front dormer. is
Yeah,
the-
the only thing is, you have that dormer there and then you have that, that pie around it. That's the only thing that is slate on there with the exception of the walls. On the dormers, the walls on the dormers I wanted to keep because they're in actually really good shape. The slate's not so much.
It's dimensional on the back dormer.
Dimensional on the back, I'm not sure on the dormer.
It looks like.
I just don't want to say something I don't know is a fact.
Yeah, sure.
Can you slide that photo down just a little bit? Keep on a little bit. Now zoom in on that photo on the,
Yeah.
that looks like that's slate on the upper. So that whole front there is, the front of the house is slate. I know that for certain.
And what we see typically happening in the villages is they'll try to consolidate the best slate from the rear and save the front sides, and the sides end up going, they try to consolidate to the front. My guess is that was what was left of salvageable slate. Very well being, it's past its prime.
My problem is if I'm trying to put stop gutters back up, they're trying to repair and replace their stop gutters. That's gonna be nasty trying to get in there with that slate in there.
My opinion, I'm guessing that this is the final for the front anyway, but we need the due documentation from 2 others that the slate has run its life.
Okay,
I'm sure you're gonna get it, but just to follow methodology that our policy, that's what we need.
okay.
I've got no problem with the rest of it.
No, we need it.
Yeah, I don't know how they ever got away with what they did. I mean, you have 3 tab slate line shingles, dimensional shingles on the back. I mean, holy cow, that had to be bootlegged all the way through.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I think it was a 2-family house at one time, and you had one owner doing one thing and one doing another.
Yeah, I try to go back through the records to see as far as what permits were pulled or if any. So as you see it right now, either I keep the slate on the front or I have a couple other companies come out there and take a peek at the slate and come up with these same.
Verify that.
Currently.
I agree, yeah, that it's done.
2 companies that work in the slate world.
Well, no worries. I wouldn't go any other way. So this would just be postponed or?
Yeah, we can continue it unless you need to get the approval on the other 3 sides to get moving. But if you want to continue the whole thing, we can continue it next month. We can deal with it.
So if I was able to get approval on the three sides, because I need to sit down with that homeowner. Try to get approval for the three sides. No, I'm not gonna do that at all.
Yeah.
Because I have those stop gutters in the front. I'm just,
So messy.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna mess it up.
yeah.
So, all right, cool.
But you got us on record saying that the other sides are good. So when it gets to that, we shouldn't be going back.
So would I have to come back to committee for that, or could I send that in?
If you decide to remove the slate with the two opinions, then that would have to come back to us.
Okay,
If you decide not to remove the slate, that can go to staff.
sweet. All right.
You want us to continue it? I would assume so.
I would, yeah. I mean, because I have to talk to the homeowner and I gotta try to figure out if they say no. We're only gonna just do those three sides in the back. How am I gonna figure out that stop gutter? I may
Yeah,
have to
you got stuff to work out. Yeah.
So only because I'm not gonna put our name on it, we can't do it right.
Sure.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, on item 09GB 2310 020 217 219 East Whittier Street, I move to continue.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank
Very
you.
much. Moving ahead to item 10, GB-23-10-021, 582 South Sixth Street.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself.
Okay. You both settled? Please raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, yes.
Your name, sir?
Tom Eastwood. David Marshall.
You.
This is an application for demolition and new construction, including a new addition, front porch, and for removal of the existing windows. The application is to construct a new two-story addition where all trim and siding are to be painted wood, and the shingle will be a GAF slate line shingle and English gray slate. The trim is to be painted hazy skies with color code OC-48. The siding is to be painted Wedgwood gray, with color code HC-146. And all doors to be painted hawthorn yellow, which is HC-4. It's also to install a new porch. The porch is to have a metal roof, wood tongue and groove porch flooring. All trim and siding are to be painted wood. And again, the colors for trim to be painted hazy skies, siding for Wedgwood gray, and all doors are hawthorn yellow. The application is also to replace non-original windows and replace them with the Pella Reserve double hung wood clad windows. The landscaping, and there's a landscaping part of this application. It's to remove the large Siberian elm tree from the rear yard and to plant a new shade tree in a similar location. Staff analysis, the following is taken from the now approved September 2023 GBC meeting minutes, noting that this application was reviewed conceptually at that hearing. Commissioner comments, the commissioners agreed that the one-story addition on the rear of the structure appeared to be historic. The commissioners confirmed that there is precedent for putting a second story on top of the historic one-story addition. It has been done before on other properties, but the design will need to be read as two different items. The continuous roof line makes the building appear as if everything was built at the same time. The commissioners emphasized that the two sections would need to be differentiated. The new addition should look like new construction. The side door should be retained. The commission suggested the applicant coordinate with staff for a site visit to review the existing windows. And the commission suggested looking at other similar properties in German Village for precedent for the porch design. At the October business meeting, the commission requested information on the replacement tree, and staff requested the applicant provide a list of materials that will be used for the porch and addition. The applicant responded and clarified that all trim and siding will be a painted wood. The porch will have wood tongue and groove flooring and a metal roof, and the addition will have GAF slate line asphalt shingles and English gray slate. And the staff report mentions the paint colors again, but we don't need those a third time. The staff recommendation that staff recommends approval with any clarification to submit to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate with the following conditions, and that the applicant is to select an appropriate shade tree to replace the large tree that is proposed for removal. The basis for the recommendation is 3011611, stands for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 3111612 stands for new construction, A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, L, M, N. And 3116 stands for site improvements A, And German Village Guidelines for alterations to existing structures and additions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Staff does note what is what is missing from the staff analysis here is that there is, so we'd just like to call attention, there is a COA from the 70s for removal of a porch for the property and evidence of the porch existing in Sanford maps. So this is not a brand new porch to the property.
All right. Anything else to add?
No, I think she got it.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Yeah, I'll start. So what are the existing windows and what is their condition? Has there been a site visit to determine what those existing conditions are?
A site visit was conducted by HPO staff. It was myself and Morgan Graff, and that was in early September after the last hearing. The site visit basically concluded that the windows were replacement windows. Most of the ones in the historic structure were wood windows, however, so they are older replacements.
Yeah.
There is one window on the stairwell that did appear to potentially be an original window.
Yeah.
It had a different profile than the other windows in the home. The windows on the, there's an addition a second floor addition part. Those are definitely very new windows when the addition was built. They, those are definitely not, they're not made of wood. But overall, staff has determined the windows were most likely replacement windows.
And are the new windows on the window list?
They're the Pella Architect Series reserve.
All right. Okay, so, couple of comments architecturally. The new door and window casings, and crown should be simpler than what's shown in the building, existing?
It's the existing, you want to change what's existing?
No. Go to the new elevation. South side.
Page 3.
So your second floor addition, it's
Uh-huh,
got fancy crowns that match the existing house.
okay,
Those need to be simple.
okay.
Probably get rid of all the flourishes, make it a straight crown. Same with the first floor. And any other windows on the addition.
So on the new addition part,
Yep, absolutely.
Should be subservient to, oh my God,
Yeah.
the original.
Shouldn't look anything like the new ones or the old ones. What's the history of the south elevation one-story extension paired doors? You've moved them to the east,
which door is that?
that pair right there.
Double door.
You've moved
Yeah.
them to the east. So that's a new opening
Correct.
in an historic building. No,
So that can be slid back.
yep, put it back where it was. And the other commissioners can comment, but these are my comments. My other issue is the fact that, can you go to? So let's just talk about this little thing right here. So here's the existing historic structure. And the bearing point of this roof is down here somewhere. So you've extended the mass of that structure up. Go to the existing. Right there. Go down one. Yeah, okay, so see how long this is compared to what you've actually trimmed this board up here. And I get your lining, okay? That's not the story of the building. You need to take this off from here and start your addition at that point, going up.
But I want the floors to be level too.
You can do whatever you want on the inside.
Yeah,
I don't care. Historically, you need to tell the story on the outside.
yep.
So this is the very point.
Well, that's the ceiling height right there.
I know,
So,
but are you you're not gonna do a trim board like that?
no.
Okay, so I'd say, you don't go from here, you go from here.
Correct.
This is the math. So you can have an offset here.
Okay.
That's the story that needs to be told on the outside of the building. on both sides.
Well, but I was also going to be re-siding this entire house, so that trim board is gonna go away. So you still want me to offset it? That trim board right there, you just touched, that one's gone.
Yeah, it's a rake, that's not a trim board, that's a rake. Yeah, but you need to separate this siding, which is board and batten,
Mhm.
if stay board and batten, from the new siding that's above us at this point. Not at this point.
The new elevations don't show that as board and batten, they show it as horizontal siding.
No, the new elevation shows this board and batten.
On here, this is what's off.
Oh, that one there, sorry.
Yeah,
So the existing is board and batten.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Elevation.
Well, that was the historical part, and it is board and batten now.
yep.
So you want me to take it back to,
Yeah,
okay,
you can't change it.
it's, all right.
So I think what happened is the last year we were talking about, we want to make sure that the new portion is different than the old.
Yeah,
And they're putting board and batten on the new portion, so they're changing the old to be a differentiator as opposed to leaving what was there and making the new differentiator, because the rest of the old to the left of that is all horizontal.
and that's, and what really should stay, this should stay board and batten. You need to figure, I mean, the new stuff can be horizontal. I mean, if you got a band board here and you got a band board here, you're gonna, that reads as a separation,
Okay.
in my opinion. I'm just saying that you want to go to. So what I'm saying is, this, I'm reading, whatever this, I couldn't tell what this zipper stuff is.
Well, that was because you had asked for a definite, align the trim boards to be separating them.
Yeah.
Making sure we could understand that. You see the note down below, it says right there represents a trim
Okay,
board.
yeah, and that's, this trim board needs to be lower, that's my point. The stand board needs to be lower to represent where the implied bearing point of the original rafters. And then therefore, then you're gonna get an idea of what the massing was of this. You're making the massing look too big. Historically, it was never that big.
Okay.
Okay.
So Ned and I have flipped on our opinion of siding on this application. Historically, I have been for saving existing board and batten. And others have been saying it's both historically, when you get rid of the board and batten, go more horizontal siding. So I think we're on opposite sides here. I'm okay switching.
If, I'm not. If it's historically was board and batten, it should stay board and batten.
Well, that board and bat that's on there is probably from the, what you say, the 90s? It's in the core shape.
But
That
do
is
you
not
know
original.
what- Is there something underneath it that tells us what it was, or?
No, I haven't pulled that off. I pulled a section of the vinyl off, and
Yeah.
on one of the pictures, it shows the trim boards on that.
I mean, if you can document it, it's something other than what it is now and was something earlier,
Mhm.
certainly that's what it should become. I could disagree with Anthony. If it's board and batten now, that's the best guess we've got for what it was. I have no problem with the new stuff being board and batten either, because you're gonna be separating it with a band board.
Okay. So since the addition that was put on in the 90s,
They're flipping the orientation too of it. Because the original is horizontal, but the addition is vertical. So you've got that
Yeah,
addition of separation. too.
I'm saying it can all be board and batten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the-
so the addition that is the second floor was put on in the 90s. And you asked us to separate those roofs, but we didn't realize that that was an addition put on in the 90s. We thought it was in the 70s, so that was historic. But since that is now not a historic roof, can I tie those together and make the walls the same height, interior wise?
Historic, can you verify that?
The second floor addition from the 90s?
On one of those plots, it shows that it was, I think it was an 86,
Yeah,
that it was a single story.
page 11, the survey is from 1992, showing that that is a single story right there. You can see the cutout where the door is.
Single story.
Old COA, end of this. Okay, so there's not, okay. We can check with the buyer.
If that's the case, the guidelines say all additions need to be treated as a single addition.
So can I tear that down?
No, you can't tear it down, but you can add to it in the same manner, volume, massing, roof, et cetera, that it is.
So meaning I still have to break the roofs up?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Perfect.
Carry that ridge line across.
You can carry the ridge line
Okay,
across,
thank you.
that is an addition.
Okay,
All the additions are considered as additions across the community, past the historic piece.
gotcha.
Therefore, it all has to read as one addition.
Okay, okay.
So then what happens to those, the trim above the windows? Because on the second story addition, they have
Yeah, if it
photos.
was approved at that,
Okay.
at that time, it was approved.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're all
Yeah.
clear.
Going
So-
forward, we're not going to, but.
Yeah.
So those two windows right there in the middle, if not now, if I can make, because it just looks so much nicer to have that thing going across.
So these two windows?
Yep.
These two.
Those two. So do I, no, that is the addition part. So in changing the windows, now that that wall's extending, do those two windows stay like they are, or do they get reduced to not be as fancy?
My opinion, they stay as they are.
Okay.
You got those as a freebie.
But are you still calling for them to simplify?
The next
Other
one,
addition.
yep, the next one's absolutely.
So any new penetration is simplified.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we can,
Yeah.
if we can find the documentation to identify for certain, I think that might be it.
Yep.
That this portion here
Yes,
was one story,
correct.
then that becomes the historic stamp.
Yep.
You know, it's the same, blah, 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 blah. And if this portion here was the addition in the 90s.
Yes.
Then we want to keep what's there, but you can extrude out, but to make the differentiation, all of that new portion would be the simplified.
Yep.
And then this wants to be down towards, like Ned said, the massing of.
Yep.
What was it? To tell the story of the history of the house.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
That help?
Yes, yes, it definitely does.
So,
Easier too.
are there no applications for the 90s for the second floor edition?
I believe there are some, they weren't included in the materials packet, so I will add any prior to the, or with the creation of the November agenda. Assuming this application is continued.
I believe the architect was John Alexander on that one in the 90s.
There are, I will say quite a few COAs for this property, so I believe there should be some.
Okay, we just need to verify that.
Okay.
So with that. Yeah,
Staff would like to note that during the conceptual review of this application in September, re-siding, removing the vinyl siding and putting new wood siding was a part of the conceptual review. It is not a part of the application at this time. The applicant has indicated that would be a later application for the historic home to be re-sided.
Okay.
But it's not a part of this particular application, just to clarify.
And that was because you said I could do the counter if it's in bad shape, right?
Yes, so there was a conversation with the applicant regarding that there is the wood, the original, the potentially original wood siding underneath the vinyl. So we would want to verify any condition of the original wood siding prior to issuing COA for residing the property.
Understood.
So they indicated that it would be a later date because they would want to confirm the project before they took siding off the house, so they could show photos.
Before we move away from facades and fenestration questions, question for the commission, the proportions of the windows on the second floor of a proposed addition being not in keeping with anything on the rest of the property, are we okay with that?
Well,
I think the roof goes up, they're gonna.
once,
change.
exactly. We lowered those because I had to lower the roof.
Okay.
And so I would much rather have everything be at the same height. Now that we're raising those walls, I can do that.
Not just the still height of those, but also the proportions of those more matching.
Right now, they're squatty fatties. As
Yeah,
opposed to being
well,
tall sliders.
Yeah, we can make them look like the other ones.
The nineties or the original?
Not the 90s.
All right, any other questions with fenestration? Understanding there's probably gonna be some resubmission on that.
Yes, and not one more question. On the ones, on the 90s windows, can I make, now that we know, can I make those the same size? Can I change the sizes of those windows, those two that are right in the middle?
Altering the size of the openings to any idea of what roughly.
No, I'm thinking if I'm redesigning some of the, a little bit of this, that might come into play if I'm allowed to.
In my opinion, if we do approve changing the opening size,
They'd have to match.
it would kind of eliminate your grandfather of the decorative stuff.
Okay,
Oh,
gotcha.
absolutely, yeah,
Okay.
good point, yes.
Well, I don't have to change them. The ones in it was in the bathroom. That's where I was.
I think it comes down to what the owner prefers. If they want to have a
Okay.
different size opening and simplify the trim, or they want to keep that decorative trim
Okay.
and keep the opening size distance.
Okay. Makes sense. Right.
Historically, the appropriate thing is to go back and fix what was wrong in the first one. And change the window size, simplify the casing on those 90s windows and make it all match.
All right, and then landscaping. Moving a large Siberian elm from the rear yard, planting a new shade tree. Is there a shade tree selection?
We have a red maple planned. We have a landscaper working on the designs right now with the homeowner. So that'll be another submission, but we would like to take that tree down prior to building the addition because it is so large and it would just be a lot easier to do.
Get your landscaper in then.
I'm sorry?
Get your landscaping in then.
Okay.
If you're gonna take a tree down, we're gonna look for a tree to replace.
Well, I'm saying, right, and we are, but they're going to be a much more extensive plan.
We just need to know where that tree's gonna be. The new one.
Okay,
I think if we get a
it's
general,
gonna be really close to there.
I think if we get a general location, for this application would be probably appropriate, and then when the landscaping plan comes in, it'll just be.
Move it.
Specific what it's gonna be.
Nail a location now, move it in the landscape.
Say that again?
Indicate where you wanna put the tree now.
Okay,
But you can, when you do the landscaping, you can say we
Okay.
moved it to another location.
we're gonna put it like 2 feet from the base of it now.
Fine. Just show
So,
Do you want me to point to something?
it. No, on a drawing, on a drawing.
so I think there's enough change that needs to happen to the application that we can't vote on it today.
Okay,
So my recommendation is that we continue to next month, allow you to make the changes and come back and be on the agenda all ready to go.
okay,
But I think we're kind of almost at the point of where it needs to be, we just gotta work out the details.
yep.
There is an arborist report in the application. Is there any concerns with it? I can't think of that. Page 14. It's on page 14.
Die back some of the branches, yeah.
I think the fact that we identifying that there is dieback already happening, declining overall health, we're putting back a new substantial tree into place, I think.
Just, I mean, the picture doesn't look good.
I will say, when you're working with, for next month, the city did publish their, arborist report for the village. Recommend you take a look at that and have the landscaper look at the tree selection. Identified, we have abundance of certain species, drought of some of the species, so look at what's there to pick a good tree.
So the red maple is not,
I don't know if I'm at, here, back and look at it,
okay,
but, so we can't vote now, so don't worry about it now.
okay.
The city arborist report really applies to trees that
Along the street.
on the street. Yeah, you can do anything you want back.
Okay, just saying, there's a recommendation of where we're overpopulated with certain species, and we don't want to be too overpopulated because one infestation can kill all the trees in the village, so. That's all.
Okay.
All right, if there's no other questions, you'd like to continue?
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
On item GB 2310-021, 582 South Sixth Street, I move to continue.
A second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have, the motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Very much. South Biz, we've got withdrawn.
This was withdrawn this morning by the applicant.
Item 11 with the trip. Item 11 is withdrawn. Moving to item 12, GB-23-10-023, 1038 Yeager. Once you're settled, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Your name?
Megan Dixon, Midland Architecture.
Thank you.
This is an application for new construction and a variance recommendation and an exterior building alteration. For new construction, this new construction for an addition. To construct a two-story addition to the rear of the existing masonry house of similar massing and style as the existing house. The horizontal composite siding is to be painted Sherwin-Williams SW6236 Grays Harbor. There'll be an exposed split-face CMU foundation, a K-style metal gutter and metal downspouts that are painted, and windows from the approved list in both casement and fixture windows. The exterior building alteration is to paint the existing wood cornice porch and windows, the Sherwin-Williams Grays Harbor, and to replace the existing front lantern with a gas lantern. There is a variance recommendation. It is for 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted to reduce the side yard setback from 3 feet to 1.3 feet. Staff analysis is that the application was reviewed conceptually at the September 2023 GBC hearing. The following is taken from the now approved September 2023 GBC hearing minutes. Commissioner comments. For the demolition plan of the east elevation, the commission confirmed they typically do not support widening openings for additions. Retaining the historic opening allows future owners to remove the addition and restore the historic footprint. Some commissioners commented that glass connectors should be the same on both floors. There was concern over the overhang caused by the second floor of the addition. The commission confirmed that the applicant would not need to duplicate existing additions on the street. The applicant take ideas from the designs, but not need to copy them exactly. Each addition has its own design. Commissioners confirmed the elevate line would only be approved for new construction and that additions to historic structures do not qualify as new construction in the case of the approved window list. A new window should be selected. The commission requested a wall section and a section of the overhang. Some commissioners commented that faux shutters would not be necessary for the design. The applicant may want to provide example photos of the shutters that they referred to. The windows in the addition may need to be resized to be similar to the size of the windows on the historic property. At the October business meeting, the commission commented that a vented soffit would not be allowed, requested information on the ridge roll for the addition, requested clarification on if any variance would be needed for the existing garage, and requested the applicant clarify the size of the setback variance. The applicant provided updated materials that clarify the roof detailing and the variance measurement. Staff recommendation that staff recommends approval with no clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate with the recommended conditions in this case, with recommended conditions. The recommending conditions in this case are the applicant to select a different color for a different paint color for either the addition siding or the trim of the property. So there are two colors on the property. So that everything is painted the Grays Harbor color. The basis for the staff recommendation is 3011611, standards for alteration, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 3111612, standards for new construction, A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and N. And German Village guidelines for additions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
One quick clarification for staff, the variance requested, that's existing, correct? Based on what I saw, site plan.
I believe so.
That is correct. It's for the existing house at the north. The mortgage survey stated 1.3 feet. I am requesting a 1 foot variance from zoning, given the tolerance. Just giving myself a little bit of leeway.
Oh, so that should,
Should read 1 foot.
read as one.
Yeah, the garage does not require variance. We have our maneuverability and setback requirements.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, anything else to add?
I'm happy to answer any questions that came out of the business meeting. Obviously, there were changes since our conceptual review. I'll just make a point to what I think will be the biggest point of conversation, which is the masonry opening, which is to occur internally from where the addition is going to go. We're still proposing an enlarged opening, but that is from outside to outside of the existing masonry openings. We would salvage all of the brick, the door and the window to be stored on site and cataloged. I'm happy to provide the society with existing documentation so they have that for their records. The existing house is currently bisected by what was a large masonry fireplace. So it is our goal with the addition to keep that space open as much as we can, but maintaining the existing lintels and again, just removing the chase between the window and the door. We would obviously maintain the chimney from the second floor up and support that with steel, so it's still visible from the exterior. And again, I get the sentiment that we don't want to enlarge openings, but German Village demands a certain level, an elevated level of construction, and I would say that every home on that block which has an addition that's still standing, it's a testament to that. So yeah, but I'm happy to discuss further and get your opinions on that.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Well, to avoid the conversation about the back, I didn't understand the thing about the fireplace. There's an existing fireplace somewhere that I'm not seeing?
If you look at the existing floor plan, if you can see that the front room is divided from the back almost entirely by a large masonry, what was a masonry fireplace. That masonry extends all the way to the basement. You can only pass through to the basement to the far right there. So the house is very divided in its current state.
So is this the fireplace that you're talking about right here?
Yes, that's masonry there. And you can see the chimney in that closet of the front bedroom. That's where the chimney extends up.
In here?
Yes.
But you're keeping this?
Yes.
Okay. You're keeping the chimney?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason I figured.
No, it's just where the door and window are off to the back, there's a small masonry chase there that we would go from outside to outside of the existing opening. And that would be all within the proposed addition.
Yeah. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's wrong. I think maintaining the masonry openings is the correct thing to do. The current style, of course, is open floor plans. Doesn't change my opinion on whether you're allowed to demolish existing historic structure or not. The lifestyle in the German Village, whatever you may call that, architecturally, etc., means that you think you should be able to avoid the guidelines because you're going to satisfy that for the lifestyle that people want to move here for. I disagree with that also. That's not a justification to allow excessive demolition of historic structure. I would have no problem taking the bottom of the window out so that you could walk through there. That would be about the limits that I would approve for this. Yes, it's going to be inside, but right now we're talking about what you're doing.
Okay. I would just want to know, is that the same sentiment of all the commission members?
Good question.
Take it down the board, starting left, right over there, Commissioner Boyd.
On the fence, I mean, I think that in the past, we've had applications where there was an opening. I'm thinking of one that was on Mohawk, specifically the one that the back wall fell down during construction. and I think it was an enlarged opening. But
I know the addition that's currently under construction had an enlarged opening to their addition, 1050 Jaeger, which I understand was approved 2 years ago when there were different commission members.
Correct.
Yeah.
There was one on South Fifth where we requested them to respect the openings that they did. They were very nice to do that. And they agreed. It was probably excessive to take it out, not necessary.
Schultz.
I mean, I can agree with the first floor opening. I'm not so sure about the placement of it on the second. It seems not keeping in kind with kind of the layout of that back facade. If it were to get infilled again, it would create kind of a mismatch there.
It would get, well, we would salvage the brick and it could be toothed in. I wouldn't want to disturb the existing window that's there.
Yeah.
And to the left of that is a bathroom. And we're trying not to disturb that portion of the existing house.
Yeah.
Bishop Minerva.
I personally like the design interest in having a more open floor plan, but in keeping with tradition, I do think that what's been done is a bit more excessive than it needs to be.
Commissioner Harkey?
Yep, and my statement is, on the second floor, I can get myself to the second floor opening. And the reasoning for that is traditionally we would say use a window opening expand to a door. However, the size of that window would require it being even wider. I'd rather maintain that historic opening and deal with having to retooth and brick down the road to keep that window pristine, that opening pristine.
Okay.
Having a second set of stairs in the house, I think would be overkill. So I can get to the second floor.
I agree.
The first floor, architecturally, I think you can get by with a door. I get the idea of the open floor plan. It's what people want. But I will say that if the plans were to show maintaining the current door opening, we can approve that. Once we approve it, you get into construction, it's interior space, and the homeowner can do what they want to do with the interior space. That's my statement of how to get past my vote. And that's what people have done in the past.
Okay.
And that's kind of I know it's semantics, and I know it's, well, why do we have to go through this double effort? And it's because we work within the guidelines and we try to preserve what we can.
Okay.
But our jurisdiction only extends. So far.
Exactly.
So-
Interesting, it's a non-starter. I have drawings with me with, maintaining the openings as they are and keeping that. May I submit that as an amendment to the application?
Yep. And I'll state before you show it to us, if you've changed the interior floor plan because of it keeping the openings,
No, it's
I was
strictly.
gonna say, if you want to submit as it is, not keeping everything there, that's, yeah.
Okay, but if you would like to see the drawing. All
I think
right,
architecturally, keep the opening, get everything approved, and make a change to the term.
again, we would still salvage the door to be stored on site.
Then my only other question for the commission, there is in the application proposal for a gas lamp fixture at the front door. There's currently an electric light fixture there. Just scaling what was there versus what is being proposed, using brick heights. Looks like what's there is a 12.5 inch tall fixture, not counting the little support arm. What's proposed is 23 inches. but the fixture itself is really 16.5 inches. It's got the arm below it as well. So you're looking at a 4-inch growth of fixture. If the commission ends up being okay with that fixture, the guidance to the applicant would be when mounting, mount the mortar, mount the brick, and reuse the electrical opening, that box is there, use that for the gas penetration. Don't go drilling new penetrations for the gas. So any thoughts, concerns from the?
I'm in favor of the bigger ones. The smaller ones are carriage fixtures, 60s, romantic. Nobody's taking stuff off of buggies and putting them on front porches ever. Street lights for that size is probably more appropriate.
Me personally, I'm not a fan of putting gas lanterns on the houses. Historically, they weren't there. However, there was a fixture already there, got the openings already there. If there wasn't something there, I would not approve putting something.
And I'd like to point out to Chairman Hartke that back in then, there were no street lights whatsoever. We all walked around in the dark.
Fair. Right, if there are no other questions, is there a motion to approve as amended?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, on GB 23-10-023, 1038 Yeager Street, I move to approve as amended and thank the applicant for doing so.
Second.
Got a second? Any questions on the motion? Is there anything else from staff?
Just to clarify, the amendment, is for these new drawings that show these smaller openings.
Yes. Yep. And just for verification from the applicant, didn't look in too much detail on those. Nothing else has changed besides just the openings, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just didn't have time to go dig into all the weeds. All right, so we got a motion, we got a second. Any questions on the motion?
The current application does include the one paint color for the trim and siding.
May I comment on that? Can that be staff approved later? 'Cause, I mean, our preference would be to paint like 3 samples and then choose a color from there. If we came back later, once the addition is up and we can see the paint colors and the light, can that be staff approved later?
So why don't we take the paint color out of your application and you can come back later.
Okay.
So amend the motion to delete the paint color.
Okay, because we were a
Yeah.
little unsure
Then
about
you,
the
then you
color.
can play, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got an amended application. Any questions on that application? Motion. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Let's have it. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 13, conceptual application GB-23-10-024, 780 South Lavelle. Once you're settled, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, full truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Your name, sir?
Nathan Sampson.
Thank you very much. Cool.
This is a conceptual application for landscaping and hardscaping of a masonry wall. To construct or rebuild, in this case, a 5-foot 10-inch masonry wall along Columbus Street to be rebuilt on the preserved foundation. The wall was removed for construction without a COA. The wall is to be a 12-inch CMU block wall with a stucco finish. The wall is to have a new bluestone wall cap and to rebuild the wood gate at the center of the wall. Staff analysis is that the August hearing, landscaping and hardscaping, including the tree removal, was reviewed by the Durham Village Commission and approved. It was during that review that it came to staff attention that the masonry wall had been removed without a COA. In August, the landscaping applicant verified that the wall was removed prior to their being hired for landscaping, and they were unaware of any plans to restore the wall. Those plans would later come from the contractor / architect. Later, HBO staff had a call with Nathan Sampson at the Behall, thank you. Sampson Diaz regarding a few projects in German Village. One of those projects was the wall at 780 LaSalle Street. Where staff confirmed that if the applicant wanted to replace the wall, it would have to be reviewed by the German Village Commission. At the October business meeting, the commission noted the setback for the gas meter and how the wall accommodates for the gas meter's location. The large recess may not be necessary. The applicant has amended their application materials to discuss the gas meter. Staff recommendation is, of course, staff recommends the condition offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine their proposal for review at a future GBC meeting. Staff also recommends the commission determine that because the wall has been removed, if this new wall would be viewed as a new construction of a new wall. And if it is new construction, would a new masonry wall be approved? If the wall is considered new construction, HBO staff would not support the new masonry wall being constructed. The basis for staff recommendation, noting that no action is required, this is conceptual, is 311613, standard for site improvements A and B, and Durban Village guidelines for fences and walls, a quote from page 117, as well as recommendation 2.
Anything else to add?
Well, I think, as noted, I think originally the plan was to remove a portion of the wall. And I think due to construction conditions, more space was required just at the start as we dug the basement foundation. So we maintained the foundation of the wall, took down the wall above grade with the intent to rebuild. I think we had notes on our original plans that were approved that portion of the wall would be taken down and rebuilt, which was approved. It's just more of that wall needed to go in that case. We're trying to rebuild the wall as it was previously with its width and height. The difference is the cap. Clearly, I think that's the one wall detail difference between what we're proposing and what was there. In the business meeting, there was comments about the location of the gas meter and the bollards interrupting the sidewalk. So we went and talked to Columbia Gas and had some conversations with them about what their flexibility was for the placement of that meter. And we're able to get them to agree to that we could relocate it. And we relocated it in a spot that did not interrupt the wall. It would be on the east end of that existing wall run, or the footprint of the former wall, where we just stopped the wall short. Then behind the meter, we would use the fence design that was approved in the landscape plan simply to wrap the back of it by security and a fence for that. We were able to push the meter back far enough. We still need bollards, but we wanted to push it back far enough where the bollards did not encroach on the herringbone brick sidewalk that we're replacing after construction.
Questions, comments, question?
Seems like a good solution to me for the gas meters.
I agree.
They get so big now, it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
get them someplace, but yeah.
So historic preservation staff's concerned about demolition of the wall and whether this is new construction or whatever. So I consider restoration. But I think what you should have done way back when was, hey, we need to take the wall down for construction.
Mhm.
And we're gonna rebuild it as such and such.
Yep.
As part of the original application.
Yep.
And then it truly would have been reason for demolition, reason for restoration.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not new construction, because they got kind of a point.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think in our original application, when we were removing half the wall and saying we were going to rebuild it, that's as far as we thought it was going to go. Just site conditions were such that more of it came down. So the intent originally and now is to, treat this as much as we can as, a restoration of the existing wall. And happy to sort of think through it along that angle with you guys.
I think I was the one that brought up that question. Distinct.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, it's valid.
Typically, if something comes down, like in a plan where we have half staying, half going, you match what was there.
Exactly.
When it all goes, do we have the proper documentation? Did we, the steps were taken?
Yeah.
It was the decision made on the site
Mhm.
that had long-term applications. That's what we're trying to prevent from happening in the future. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
We've had other demolition occur on site that was necessary for construction, I get it, but it wasn't addressed.
Mhm.
And then later coming back and saying, oh, the garage is in such bad shape, the whole thing has to come down now.
Yeah.
And that was not the case.
Yeah.
Should have been restored.
I think in this situation, Got the footprint identified from the foundation. From the photos, you can see the block. You can count the block.
Yeah.
Pretty standard dimension. I think there's circumstances that would allow this to be a restoration because the information is there. That gets me past my concern. I do have a question. We've been talking with Columbia Gas. I have noticed in some properties around the village, when they move the gas meters, like a board or a door in front of the gas meters, is that something that AP, is that in the conversation at all?
I think that accessing that, and what that is, whether, I don't know if you could lock that. I think it's an individual case, depending on the, safety and construction considered by the homeowner. I don't know. That is a good question. I mean, in trying to push it back as far as we could, I think their main concern is, we have to be 5 feet back from the edge of the sidewalk to not have bollards. And so we're trying to say, okay, let's try and balance this out sometime. But that is a good question.
The property I was thinking of is up on Grant and Jackson, on the west side, the north side of Jackson. They've got a masonry wall that runs from their building back to the end of the property.
Yep.
And there's a little cutout in the masonry wall where we can access the meter. It's got little vertical boards that are going onto it.
Mhm.
They can just pull aside. It's not really fastened or anything like that. It's just unlocked.
Mhm.
But the masonry provides that barrier.
Mhm.
You have masonry wall here, so my thought was, is there something we could do with the masonry to try to get that hidden versus having two big old shiny bollards just sitting out there in a public way?
The clearance for the gas meter currently, I think you saw it on the previous application, is pretty big. It allowed for one course, basically a block, if you do an insert above that. But it's almost like framing it in some ways. I think that every case is different, but I think in this case, just having a gate that's there that isn't necessarily lockable provides a little bit of a weird spot, just along the public way, if it's not a securable space. I'm open to talk about it, but that's just some of the thoughts that come to mind when I start to think about maybe how we talk about it with our client.
Yeah, and keep that fence behind it to keep it secure and everything. It's just a facade treatment. Because you already have this block wall that's supposed to go back. And now we have this interruption with the gas meter. So,
well, would stopping the fence short or the wall short like that to allow the proper access space that Columbia Gas requires, in your mind, when you think about that approach, could that be just our back fence design wrapping around the front of that and butting up against that masonry wall, but it would be a gate?
I'd be okay with that. It would visually look like another gate in a wall.
Yeah.
So
I think it's something that we could talk about with him.
From my perspective, these gas meters and bollards are all over the place.
Yeah.
I've got no problem voting on it, approving it as submitted. I think the client may be some conversation they'd be interested in having. Just know that the commission would be potentially amenable to that. When I come back and just do an alteration or a change.
I think to your point too, just the bollards, being able to diminish them if they are out there, but painting them, you can't really touch the meter, but we could do some things to that. And I think in that case as well, just thinking ahead a little bit, if that is an open niche or where the wall stops, would the board be okay with us continuing the herringbone brick into that, or would you want it to stop in sort of the line of the sidewalk and have that be, mulch or dirt or something like that?
I'd be okay.
It doesn't matter
Either way, or either it's treated like a little garden area or it's treated like a walk.
Okay.
Either way works.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
But if you'd like to vote on it as is, I think we can do that. And if you want to make a change later, happy to entertain that.
Okay.
The vote.
Yeah, what would the vote?
This is the conceptual.
It's just, never mind.
I'll let you vote on it.
No, it's conceptual, it's no vote.
No, that's good. I think that we can have that conversation, come back and just get everything buttoned up.
And if you take a peek at that Grant Jackson property,
Yeah, I think I know what you're
Right now.
talking about.
they were able to bring that meter up to the property line.
Yeah.
And the surrounding masonry served as basically bollards.
I think the impact,
Because it was so forward, you didn't need the extra space backing around,
yes, right.
I think.
The clearance width now is really weird because it ends up being so wide, but we can talk to them.
And maybe we haven't. Yeah.
I've also seen a mix of stainless steel bollards and black bollards.
Yeah.
But, yes,
Galvanized and your steel, no paint.
yeah, I think the painted ones look better personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think just for our own peace of mind, painting them sounds pretty good. You know, the fence behind it painted, it just
Yeah,
screens it a little bit.
You can paint the meter certain colors.
Yeah.
You know?
They will be good for me.
AP, I think it's gray and black, I think it'll let you paint it.
Okay.
It's standard.
Helpful too.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Staff will just share for the applicant that, because this was reviewed conceptually, you'll have an additional week to submit for the November agenda. So if you submit by, not tomorrow, but the next Thursday by 8 a.m., it'll be placed on the November agenda.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Moving ahead to item number 14. We're on here, GV-23-10025, 769 Mohawk. Should both set, raise your right hands. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes,
Your name?
Holly Friedman.
Thank you.
Dan Morgan.
Thank you.
This is a conceptual application for new construction for addition with connectors. To construct a two-story addition on the rear of the house with an asphalt shingle roof, cementitious exterior siding, and stone foundation to match the primary structure, and a proposed window wall. It is also to construct a connector from the house to the existing garage that will have gas lanterns, and to construct a connector between the garage and the existing potting shed, raising the rear of the existing garage to accommodate the connector, and the connector would have a cementitious siding. I will also note there is a variance recommendation. Those variances include 3332.18D lot coverage to increase the allowable building coverage from 50% of the lot area to 51.7%. 3332.21F, building setback on the east to reduce the required building setback from 10 feet to 0.3 feet. 3332.21 building setback, that should be a different direction. It is south, I believe. That should say south. To reduce the required building setback from 10 feet to 0.1 feet. 3332.26 minimum side yard from north to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 3 feet to 1.2 feet. 3332.25 combined side yard to reduce the size of the combined side yard from 6.3 feet or 20% of the lot width to 1.3 feet or 4% of the lot width. And 3332.27 required rear yard to reduce the size of the required rear yard from 25% of the lot area. That's 1,095 square feet to 1% of the lot area. Noted that the existing condition is 1,608 square feet for the rear yard or 36.7% of the lot area. Staff analysis of the October business meeting, the commission confirmed that staff will add variances for review at the hearing. Variances are in the materials package for review by the Durham Village Commission. And the commission emphasized that according to page 94 of the Durham Village Guidelines, a visible connector between a historic house and garage is strongly discouraged. However, the commission did confirm that the new use of the garage would be a conversation topic for the hearing. Staff recommendation, as this is conceptual, is that staff recommends the commission offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant at a future DVC meeting. The basis for staff recommendation, noting there is no action required, is through 1611, standards for alteration, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Through 1612, standards for new construction, ACDEF, GHIJK, LM, M, and N. Durham Village guidelines for additions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Durham Village guidelines for new construction of garages and outbuildings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18. And that is it.
There we go.
Sorry.
Before we get to the applicants, variances, I believe that bullets 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all existing. First bullet and last bullet are based upon the new design. Correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, floor is yours. Anything else to add?
Well, this is exactly what we want to have today, is a good dialogue about this project. We have a longtime German Village resident looking to downsize in a home and age in place. And part of the requirements of her program would be that she could have an attached garage so that she could safely get from her car to her house in inclement weather, hours of the day, and just feel safe. This does require, there's an existing lean-to addition on the house, which is in disrepair, various states of disrepair, that we'd be replacing with this new gable addition. To address the connector piece that's connecting the existing garage and the addition to the home, basically working to minimize that, to make that more of a porch-like enclosed porch. Right now, we're showing it in elevation. It's just very simple with a nice door, side lights, and some, right now, simple paneling. Definitely on board for making that more glass, more open. I think we provided our floor plans in the application. We could rework the floor plan program to make that more of a glassy, more of a breezeway, an enclosed breezeway. But really looking for some general feedback on this direction. We do know that there will be a lot of discussion about this as we move forward. We are here for conceptual review. As Nicole mentioned, we do have two main variances to talk about with our lot coverage, which is very small, and our rear yard, which is a sticking point on these urban projects. We do have a lot of green space still. It's just the myriad of the fact of enclosing that breezeway, that kicks it over to an actually connected garage, which the garage becomes part of the main building, and the whole is read as one. If we had no walls on that cover, it was just a covered walkway, we'd be having a different conversation altogether. Open for comment, feedback.
Commission comments, feedback.
That's the first thing, is you're tearing down an historic piece of the building.
So looking at the Sanborns at the end, it looks like it was an open porch at one time. And then looking at the photos, that kind of bears true. It looks like it's basically walled in that porch based upon in my opinion, the concrete foundation there.
It's 1902.
Footprint does. My guess that was the original porch with a shed roof across the back.
Could have been.
To your point, it was footprint historically. My main concern is the connection of the principal structure to the garage. It's something that I've never approved in my time on the commission. The guidelines strongly discourage it. We have had applications where the garage and the structure are very close. And even that we wouldn't connect it, but having an overhang coming off the house that would come close to and even overhang the garage, prevent rain and whatnot, that's been approved. So it wouldn't get you heated space, but you could get by with rain coverage. The elevation, scrub it a little bit, so the roof comes down. Not sure the roof style choice. My guess is you're probably trying to get above the windows that are there on the rear of the house.
Correct.
Just seems architecturally, it just seems trying to be a little brother of the primary structure. It's just coming off as, I don't know, an architect, so.
It's okay.
The 3 window piece. I think the design of that addition pays no respect to what was there previously if we got past demolishing what's there.
I don't know how you're gonna get past that. Just had one on South Sixth, we told them they couldn't take it down.
Agreed, just give it feedback.
Yeah. I'm giving you my feedback.
No, it's a conversation. I appreciate this. This is all very helpful for the project.
I've got no problem connecting the garage to the shed. They're utility structures, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Ned, you made the comment at the business meeting about as a change of use.
Yeah.
Still 2 garage spaces.
No, and I'm gonna back off that. I thought about more and more. It still looks like a garage. Nobody knows what's going on inside of it. Therefore, I can't get to the connector to it.
Looks like it still is being used.
It's still, I can't get there with the connector cracks.
If the, reading the guidelines talking about connectors, there's language in there about if they are, that they are discouraged, yes, that's no. But if they are to be pursued, that they should look more porch-like, be set back and landscaped. If we were to pull it back further and add more landscaping and make it more porch-like, would that be something the commission would be open to?
Personally, I would.
I'm trying to think of where we've allowed it.
Only time we've allowed a garage connection is the big giant 3-4 car 80s garage / residence time to the residence next door, which I think is.
Oh, Megan? Yeah, we did, my God, I can't remember the name of the family, but it's at the corner, it's on, Columbus. They put an extension on the back of the house with a garage on it. And it was not successful. It's around and back and everything, but you can see it. That's where they started to put up a non-compliant fence, and when they got a code order on it, they just stopped and haven't done anything in 10 years. You know what I'm talking about?
Off the top of my head.
But did not go well. I don't think of other ones.
Can I ask another question? I mean, there are, historic structures are connected throughout the village, whether they're small cottages that connect 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 cottages together throughout. Is it difficult because it's a garage that we're connecting to? That's
it. I mean, historically, the architectural language in the village has been separate garage. Separate structure, separate garage away from the house. Attached garages are more suburban, not German village, not the architectural fabric language of the village.
Detached, it's pushed back, alley facing, not Main Street facing typically.
Or if it's got a driveway, it's all the way in the back.
This is on a corner, correct?
This is on the corner. This is right across the street from the project that you were just looking at.
Which is what gets the garage up.
Yeah, northeast corner of Blisbane, Frankfurt.
I mean, this lot being a corner lot, with the size of that garage being a three carriage garage, there's not much room in it as it exists. So that's one of the challenges. The porch that once was, that is now a lean-to, I think, kitchens for the apartments that are there, are misshapen, low ceilings, not built very well.
It's meant to be a porch.
Yeah.
It was. So we're working to keep in the vernacular of German Village, keeping the architecture simple, keeping the additions secondary to the original historic structures, to try to make in an attempt to blend in with the neighborhood.
So the question I have for you, if
Yeah.
the plan currently is basically to blow out that addition as is, you're blowing out the kitchen as is, you're gonna rebuild the kitchen, you're adding on the connector, which has a bathroom in it, and then you're putting the laundry out in the garage.
Correct.
Um,
Conceptually.
Conceptually. Yard space wise, it's chewing up a lot of yard space, so you're already getting rid of it. Understanding our reticence to connect the garage to the main structure. What about using the footprint of the addition that's there, the historic addition there, the infill porch, I'll call it, as the connector to a new space sitting between it and the garage, footprint wise? That could come out and not have to be set back the way that the connector is currently set back. So you're gonna get a little more real estate coming towards the sidewalk. You could keep a separation, a walkway basically between the two, which you could have an overhang to protect from the elements between the garage and in that addition piece. Just thinking through how you can get the architectural components that you need, planning components. You wouldn't need to have that corridor all the way through. That's chewing up a lot of real estate interior wise too. Is there something you could do that aspect?
I just want to make sure I understand. You're saying keeping the footprint of the addition of the existing lean-to structure.
Using the lean-to as kind of that connector
That foot-
between the principal structure and the new addition portion.
I think I see what you're saying.
I'd take it a step further from what he ended on that. Is take the shed back to being a porch-like structure
Mm-hmm.
that is more glass, respects what it was as a porch.
Mhm.
Say you take it back to a porch and then you glass it in. And then do your additional spaces that you need, using that as the connector between the original house and what you're proposing as a new structure. I can get it.
But don't bring the new structure, don't let the new structure touch the garage. Is that, am I understanding that
Yeah.
correctly? Or could,
Exactly what I was saying. You got the glass part.
Yeah, I'm just building on what he's saying. I'm agreeing with what he's saying. I'm just saying, open that back porch up to a porch again, make it glass or whatever, and whatever it needs to be. It can be more enclosed as you get towards the back of the lot from the side,
Mhm.
but make that work for you. You're keeping the historic structure, you're restoring it back to what it was. You're using that now as a connector to what your new construction is, what your new building is.
Okay.
Go back to page 4.
Could we expand along those lines? Could we do an addition to the garage and build the garage closer to the house?
Probably not.
Really?
Yeah, because the garage is an entity unto itself. It's a mass, it's a unique thing. Can't see it, to be honest with you. I can see getting close to it.
Arguably, isn't a standalone house a unique thing sitting by itself? And we put additions on houses all the time.
Yeah, but there's also this concept that garages came later in the village history,
Yes.
when people started using cars. And they moved them off, they were away from the houses because cars were dangerous. Moved them away from the houses, just kept them away from the house. That's why they got built away from the houses. Why some of the brick houses have got porches on the back because the kitchens were there and they burned off and they burned off. That was fine, but.
So the fact that, one of the questions I have though, is we're talking about a secure connection between a garage and the house. The type of carriage doors that are on the garage right now, you have to get out of your vehicle to open it, don't you?
That is a conversation for, we're planning to keep those doors, yes, but we're planning to solve that problem with an opener.
They actually do make openers for those.
For those, they do.
Hinged garage door.
Oh, okay.
Have a lot better.
That.
So I think one option,
Never mind.
to your point early, so then you talked about garage additions. You go back to page 4. One option could be, we're all talking about ADUs and accessory dwelling spaces. Using this space. You didn't want, if you're looking to keep kind of separate dwelling spaces, that could be a piece here. You have like a head-on suite behind the garage tied to it. If we go back to the idea of using this original porch footprint as kind of the connector, if you glassed it in here to kind of make it more breezy, that's fine. You could chew up this space with addition, which is a pretty large footprint to work with. This back piece here, you can keep that solid, you can put bathroom, you could put laundry back there. That gives that connection piece to a new space that could be used for a kitchen or whatever. Then minimize the gap. I would be okay putting a door on the garage, honestly. So you can go from here to here with a small exterior opening. I think there's some options architecturally you work with.
See, I think personally, if that connector was minimized to the point of just being a passage space, didn't have a closet,
Yeah.
didn't have a
Didn't have
bathroom.
program in it.
Didn't have all these other.
Yeah, it was made more minimal and just glass, I could get on board.
Would you be getting rid of the current porch footprint and enlarging it?
Well, that's another issue.
I think that connector only works if you're minimizing the
Yeah.
gap in the first place.
Right.
Can't support it, put it down. But how far are you enlarging that existing porch footprint? It's like a good 5-6 feet.
They're taking off, they're replacing.
Replacing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, how much larger is it getting?
Oh, I see.
About 4 feet.
So I feel like the connector now is, it's taking up a lot of space just to serve as a glorified hallway.
Oh,
But if it is more, again, to your point, more glass, more see-through and more porch-like, so it has, say the program that's shown right now with the closet and the powder room isn't there, and that becomes porch, covered porch, so that it is a 4 or 5 foot wide connector hall. It's under roof, it has glass on both sides and an entry porch open.
I personally would prefer it become very narrow and glass, not necessarily even have a door from the front on it, because it's meant to connect to the garage. And, push it back into the site, landscape in front of it, or even connect a privacy fence or something, so that it's not very visible, it's not apparent as a connector, but allows you.
There's a house on Sixth that they had a covered walkway going up to just shy of their garage. They wanted to enclose that, even in glass. We said no.
Yeah.
Sort of precedence.
Yeah,
Like I said, I've not seen anything that allows us to connect a house to a garage. Except for the big one I'm making, which is connected to two houses.
Yeah.
One happened to be first floor garage.
I think 569 Cedar Alley came to us trying to attach their garage to it. We said no. We worked around it. They didn't get an attachment, But two, and there's one over on, like I said, the one at, Frankfurt and LaSalle. We let them go out the back. That was bad. There's another one at LaSalle and Frankfurt, but on the southwest corner. That was done a long time ago. We let them put a second story on, but that was ages. That was way before our time.
And I will say to Ned's point earlier about treating it like a porch again. I think that negates earlier comments on applications about blowing out back walls and that kind of stuff, because it was always an open porch. So if you want to have more open space, maybe with that allows it to happen too.
If we, down that path, if we keep the footprint, I'm hearing that it's strongly suggested we keep the original porch footprint for a good portion of this addition.
That's your path of least resistance.
And I appreciate that,
And much more successfully divided.
Now I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks. All right, please. Keeping the porch, if the addition were to All right, so looking at this plan that's on the screen right now, that upper room, which I don't know if you guys can see, it's called the dining room, that room
Right there.
If there were to be an addition, if we preserve the courtyard space that's on East Columbus and the addition, if we expanded the addition towards the north, towards the west, along the north property lot, and had a delicate connector into the back of the garage, would that be something?
Basically, program beneath, I would love to say yes, but I don't know.
Would probably be more.
We have a house that's got a tunnel that connects the garage to the house.
We we talked about that.
We do have one that I know.
My issue with saying anything about yes to connecting is, once we say yes to connecting, it becomes a precedence for anybody else who wants to connect, to build off of that. It's the slippery slope that we face.
And one time the commission used to say, well, if you can't see it from the street, it must be okay. I can't buy that anymore.
You could make that come out, stop it short of that, so in this case, north-south wall, call it, have an overhang canopy, so you're basically out one door and the other. I think that meets the spirit of the guidelines.
I mean, there's the insanity of some of the, there's a cottage that's got that building had a garage added to the back. There is 2.5, maybe 3 feet between that cottage and that garage. Would not let them connect.
Yeah.
As insane as that is. I think it's insane, but it is the guidelines. It follows the intent, the history, everything
I
else.
think it's this one.
That would be the one.
And make it now like.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Can we circle back and talk a little bit about the existing garage and, given the site and the original garage, the back, the lower left photograph shows the existing back corner of the garage. We're up about 2 feet or so, that's on the sidewalk. So the eave of that garage on the back is quite low. Would the commission support us keeping the street facade, keeping the same height, keeping the same type of roof, but reducing the slope of said roof and raising the back rafters up so that we could get a doorway?
Is it not doorway?
Where's the doorway?
There's no main door in the garage?
There is.
Is there one?
Yeah,
Where?
there is on the,
Backside.
Oh, there is.
on the backside, yeah.
The floor plan, shows a door there.
Right. This,
It's a pretty short door.
Short door.
we initially, for this connector, which we're talking about, which I'm understanding you all on, we were talking about trying to maintain a walk, an accessible way to the garage, or if we were to attach it. Are any modifications to the detached garage permissible?
My initial reaction is no, but minor alterations to make something work, like a door, but not the whole back of the garage, just a very lousy door on one end.
When you can put the door on the other face and it.
I think that's
Yeah.
hearing what the feedback.
Yeah.
Of not. Just being clear,
Not changing.
the likelihood of you allowing us to attach the house to the garage is straw poll. I'm reading your faces.
Slim to none.
Fair. So coming up, so now it's not quite back to the drawing board, but figuring out what we can do and what our client can expect and how to talk with her about the next steps. What am I missing, Tal?
That's it.
On the connector to the garage, just one last talk, just because reading the guidelines, it says it's discouraged. Does it say that it's absolutely not, or is it just, it's discouraged and we're not supporting it? Because it talks about connecting two historic structures being discouraged and landscaping and detailing, that's approvable. But does it say, I don't, maybe I just glanced over it in the section about the garages.
Go back and look at it.
Porch.
That's right. I thought it said that if it appears like a porch, that it's acceptable or appropriate.
I have the reference from the guidelines, that's Durham Village Guidelines for New Construction Garage with Ground Buildings. Item 8, recommendation 8. Attaching a new garage to a historic structure is rarely appropriate. Attached garages may be considered for newly constructed residences if they are designed and designed to be sensitive to the historic streetscape and if massing is handled in a way that gives the appearance of a detached garage. In such cases, clear separation of the main house connector and garage should be evident.
I think the key thing is they're new garages,
Yeah.
brand or new construction.
Not
Additions, we
treated.
don't treat additions as a new construction, it's in addition to a historic structure. Nothing in there stated connecting historic garages to historic structures.
Is there a section about attaching historic garages to historic structures, or does it fall under the connecting two historic structures?
That take a while to spell. Computer work would be nice. Die? I can't log in and let me out. Station. Storefronts. Garages, garage and outbuildings. Just commission houses. On scale. Certain reasons for garages. Use matching materials. Nothing about historic. Alterations to existing, talks about additions. Connectors, as in connecting to buildings, not necessarily houses.
I can't think of anybody proposing connecting an existing garage to
It exists.
an existing structure, or even in addition to an existing structure. I can't think of any.
What you're looking at is under the section called connectors, which is really not a garage connection, but connectors, particularly between historic buildings, are not encouraged. Not strongly discouraged, not encouraged. However, connect may be approved if the visual impact is minimal and it creates an enclosed porch like between two buildings. A visible connector between an historic house and a garage is strongly discouraged. So it specifically states under the connection piece, the language, the spirit of it is if it needs to be between two buildings, but building in the garage is even less
Right.
encouraged. So it's kind of the bottom tier, i.e. you don't do it.
Oh, with that, I don't know that I have much more on this agenda item. You guys answered our question. Appreciate your time on this.
Sure.
Feedback.
Looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Yeah, it's gonna be a process.
Sure, so.
We'll be back. Yeah.
We'll say that three-car garage with all doors is just gold. It's a gem.
Yeah, stay in.
Well, yeah, yes. We know that.
All right.
We're the next agenda item too.
Okay. I need to take a quick 5-minute break. Apologize. Gotta go.
Look, on this next one, do we know what the COAs on this were?
There are COs from the 90s for the connectors between the two structures.
Okay, so was that far back? I thought it was more recent. I can remember when the little cottage to the east was still an independent residence. That may have been late 90s. God.
Look at that. Yeah. Oh, yes, it is. Make it, I think that it was. New construction.
There's.
There's the house. There's another. Yeah, I'm not sure. She got that. Did that a long time ago. 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
All right, game on. Item 15, GB-23-10026. Looks like a show applicants have already sworn in. Oh,
This is a conceptual application for an exterior building alteration for conversion of windows to a door. It's also for landscaping. For the windows to door conversion, it's remove two existing windows and then to install one Marvin Ultimate door with a transom window. The trim color is to match existing windows and the trim is to match existing. For landscaping, it would be to remove existing landscaping on the, I believe that should now say east elevation. So I apologize for not making that correction, and install new plantings to be determined. The staff analysis of the October business meeting, the commission requested the applicant verify the direction labeled in the packet, as sometimes the elevation where work will occur is labeled as east and other times it's labeled west. The commission also requested HPO staff add Sanborn maps and relevant previously issued COAs to help confirm the age of the windows and structures. The applicant has provided new materials that clarify the east elevation of where work is proposed. HPO staff have added Sanborn maps. Staff found that only COAs for work to 206 East Sycamore Street were to determine the condition of the wood siding and to replace the roof in 1994, and also to build the addition to the rear of the structure. Drawings and materials do not show the elevation of the historic section of the structure though, so they're not included in the materials packet at this time. There are also COAs from the 1990s for the connector between 200 and 206 East Sycamore Street. However, none of those COAs mentioned any work to the east elevation of the frame structure at 206 East Sycamore Street, beyond just general painting all elevations. The staff recommendation that staff recommends the commission offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal at a future GDC meeting. The basis of the staff recommendation, and there's no action required, is 311-611 standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and the Durham Village guidelines for windows 1 and 6. That's it.
I'll say it.
Not too much. Thank you for laying that out, Nicole. The idea here, these two windows are right off the primary bedroom in this house. This is an existing courtyard. It's private. You can see from the pictures provided, you don't get a glimpse of it from the street. It's tucked away. It's behind two gates. This would make this courtyard bring more natural light into the bedroom. It's not going to have much of an impact, if any, on the neighborhood, and will actually very much keep with the existing architect for the house, just a bigger door inside, door side lights. And the transom is what we're proposing as a starting point, for some feedback for this discussion. I know that alteration of windows, in existing structures is, always a conversation point. Here, there are two windows that we're combining into one large window, apparently, essentially.
Questions, comments, feedback from the commission?
It's historic structure, changing fenestration. Even if it is a wood frame, I don't think it's appropriate whether it's visible or not visible from the street.
Would a step back would be to modify one of the windows into a door, full light door?
It's a better proposal.
Well, that's not our first.
And
Of course,
we've done-
you're right. This is conceptual. We want a conversation
We've
about
done
this.
that. We've had front doors on cottages turned into windows. Windows on the side of the cottages for some reason turned into a front door because they wanted to change the living room into a bedroom.
Right.
That's happened. That historically, a lot of that's happened. But not kind of this wholesale blow wall out.
Well,
thing.
and I understand where you're coming from, and I think more so, while we see on brick facades throughout the village, you see the ghosting of old window openings or modified and lintels that were either extended or cut short or added onto, modified rather, or openings have been bricked over. Here in this case, we have a sided cottage. We have the existing the original front door to the cottage has a transom on the street. We're leaning into some of that vernacular of the existing cottage that's there. It doesn't seem like a far stretch.
I mean, I'd really be all saying, okay, fine, going to door as long as your rough framing didn't change.
Yeah, because right now you elevated the height of that transom. It's above kind of where the top is, the window to the left of it is.
Right.
I think what was driving that was the door to the right, but that's a different plane.
Yeah.
Correct.
Back.
So we
Never
could
be able to.
certainly, if the commission is on board with this direction, fine tuning the details and getting everything just perfect would be, we'd love to work with you on that.
I mean, if you can fit a door, you can have a custom made door that'll fit into the rough framing that is for that window right now. Okay, fine.
I think I know we've had conversation on other applications about opening up walls in a framed structure. That was in context of putting addition on the rear of the house. And it was a framed principal structure, historic. And we didn't fight that because it was gonna be interior space and also because it's framing, but frame it back. With it being an exterior wall, never becoming interior space. That's kind of where I have struggled.
Two comments on that, being that it's a private courtyard. It's not technically interior space, but it's private space. So a thought on that. Secondly, being that it is framed and it's sided, it's been re-sided with the last renovations. This alteration could be, if this owner sells the house, it could be undone and made to look just like it was. So it's reversible.
And there's always
Rather
the
painfully.
potential that it will not always be private. Say the duplex next door burns down.
Or even if you take the gates down.
Yeah.
Fences down.
Yeah.
But that's the landscaping portion of this would be to clean up that portion of landscaping in that to offer
Mhm.
more privacy in this courtyard. And this would be a window. These windows are into the primary suite. So privacy from that apartment building or the duplex is high on their priority.
Because you're replacing the cedar fence. It's right next to it.
It's in disrepair. That would be in the right,
How old is this? Do you know?
which,
It's almost
The original cottage?
22 Sanborn.
Yeah, I think,
Any earlier than that?
pardon?
Any earlier?
As an addition.
It wasn't on the 1901, it was in 1922, and that's where, I was scratching my head. Was it built connected?
That's what it's showing.
Right, that's what it looks like. on the sand.
Yeah.
So,
My guess,
Interesting.
speculation, probably a workshop of some sort, or some kind of business attached to the owner's structure.
That's Marcus. What's S?
S shop.
Shop. There you go.
Not speaking to necessarily the historical use, but sometime around the seventies, eighties, nineties, it is referenced in the COAs as a rental unit.
Yeah, that's what I remember it as. Yeah.
That does not give any indication of the original use of of course.
I remember it's a dwelling, yeah, I remember somebody living, yeah.
And I'll make the statement of, I did hear you say it's primary suite and all that. Architecture driving the exterior versus architecture fitting the exterior. So interior choices shouldn't really be driving the public fabric of the building, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when people want to blow a wall out because it doesn't fit their kitchen design. Well, you need a different kitchen design. This could be a living room for the next owner for all we
no,
know.
it could be.
It's the current layout.
It's been the current layout. We're doing a light touch. So I hear there's support for expanding, possibly support for expanding or converting a window into a door.
I wouldn't say expanding.
I
I would say replacing the window.
lowering the sill.
Replacing the window.
Replacing the window with a door.
A door unit to match.
Could we do two?
I think you're pushing.
But you're saying there's a chance.
I think you're pushing.
That would just be odd.
Yeah, what would be the
It probably
reasoning
be
for having
different
two
to
doors
that.
right next to each other? Or would one of
Oh.
them be a full height?
I could show you a myriad of homes in history that have had 3 sets of doors, 2 sets of doors. Just drive around Bexley, drive around German Village, you have pairs of doors opening out to a porch.
So why don't
Very
you do a
common.
door that looks like a window?
What's that?
Why don't you do a door that looks like a
That's what I
window?
was gonna, that's what I was trying to get to say.
Larger,
No, not no.
like a 3/4 light door. I mean, we can do operable, you can do Jefferson windows. that are-
Exactly,
right,
the
a
bottom
triple
panel runs
pane-
down to the foundation.
A triple pane window,
Yeah. Let's get one go there.
a triple sash rather.
Like a horse door.
That's true.
Those two.
I can definitely get behind one window becoming a door.
Yeah.
Two, that's that slippery slope of, well, what's the point of not having 3 at that point?
Like
I didn't take it there.
I'm just saying that's where my head's at. Okay, 1, yeah. 2, well, what's the point of even pushing back on the opening?
And my big thing is maintaining the rough framing.
Understand you. That's all we have.
Cool.
Anything from you guys? Nope. Thanks for your time, guys. I know it's a big commitment volunteering for this commission, so thank you.
Come in. Right, item number 16, GB-23-10-027, 767 Macon Alley. Let the record show the applicant's previously sworn in.
This is a conceptual for exterior building alteration for roof deck. It's to remove an existing chimney and replace the sloped asphalt shingle roof, a sloped PTM or TPO roof. And then to install removable deck squares or stone pavers on the roof, over the new sloped roof, install a new steel or aluminum guardrail that's painted, and remove the existing double window in the west back gable, and install a new aluminum clad outswing door. Staff analysis is that the connector between 757 and 767 Macon Alley was approved in August of 2022 at a GPC hearing. The materials reviewed at the hearing did mention the removal of the chimney from the rear of 767 Macon Alley. It was not called out on the agenda, but it was in the plans. At the October business meeting, the commission requested HPO staff and COAs for any previous work to the addition and sandboard maps. Staff have added COAs and sandboard maps to the materials. The addition on the 757 Macon Alley building does seem to appear on the 1921 and 1951 sandboard maps, indicating an approximate age of the frame addition. The chimney proposed for removal is most likely a historic chimney, and HPO staff does not support the removal of character defining features such as chimneys. Staff recommendation, the staff recommends the commission offer design feedback that can be utilized for the applicant and to further refine the proposal for review at a future DBC meeting. The basis for staff recommendation is noting that no action required is 31611 standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11.
Anything else to add?
I don't think so. I mean, after the business meeting, I think, the intent is to try and develop a roof deck space for the second floor of the cottage. The thing that we're up against is just noting that the chimney removal and also the access to this roof deck, which is an existing window. We're proposing to maintain the header, the width, and simply lowering the sill. I think we lower it 10 inches or something, just to make it an accessible space out into that patio. We provided some photos, I think, at the business meeting. We were sort of wondering what they were. They were just photos of different roof decks around the neighborhood as examples. I think our client took them and sent them to us. So, but I think, there are some good examples there. We want to just sort of understand the approach and maybe where some of the pinch points are so we can work on them. We come back and talk about this again.
Questions, council, commission? I've got a few. Let's just go first.
Go for it.
I was the sole no vote on the first application, so just coming from that standpoint. The balcony porch examples that were provided, they're all 2.5 story structures, significant massing of structures. This is a cottage, it's a 1.5 story cottage. 133 Deschler is on top of a quote new addition. It's older but new. The 217 is on top of a front porch, which is before my commission. I don't think that would ever get approved today. 659 South Fifth is third floor, way before my time. That would never get approved.
Never.
Yeah. I don't know how they got approved in the first place, but
It's old.
it's its own thing. 729 Mohawk is on a new addition to a newer addition. The 750 South Sixth is on an addition. I think it's a newer one, but might be an adulteration. I'm not sure. It's still a 2.5 story. 75 City Park is on a 1980s rebuild. I know that. That's my uncle's house. And we went to a deep dive on how that all got to be what it is today.
Yeah,
it's a mess. 805 City Park is on addition connector. Looking at details, I think the bigger portion is actually new. The older portion is a tiny piece. And 820 Mohawk is on the garage addition. This may be the one that might get attached potentially.
Yeah, I did that project.
Yeah.
Yep. The back of this property, there's a clear view of it from East Frankfurt Street. If you go up and around the corner, there's a big parking lot. You'll see this for sure. I'm not personally a big fan of porches on elevated portions of properties.
Yeah.
I think that's historically, they didn't have them. They've shown up in the village over time. So it's part of that language now. I think it's slippery slope using a historic addition to host a second floor porch on a cottage. I think there's so many cottages that all have shed roof additions. This opens the gate to everybody that wants one to have one.
Yeah.
And I think that there's plenty of space, plenty of newer construction on this property, this project that could facilitate a porch, elevated porch, to utilize the historic structure as a sacrificial child. I think it's inappropriate, in my opinion. That's me.
No, that's fair. I mean, it's good to sort of understand that too with those examples.
Support what Anthony said.
I
Sorry.
support what Evan said.
In this case, I mean, the second floor porch on here, maybe, is it the destruction of the historic, low slope roof that contributes to that, or is it simply the existence of the porch?
To me, it's a bit of both. We've seen adding second floor additions on to create floor space,
Okay.
to create something livable, respecting the form that was there. This is just completely, you don't get the pitched roof anymore. You're putting the railing up. It's making use of a space that historically is not used for that kind of purpose.
Yeah.
New addition, I think you open up a different story, but to utilize the historic to do it, I think it's appropriate.
In a case like this, or hearing what you said, this is sort of a parallel question, but also a question about this, is in this case, we're also, this necessitates a modification of a historic opening, which we've heard a lot this evening about in general. And the extension of that in, is there anything particular about this location that is limiting or is an exception to other things that we've heard tonight?
I would say that being a masonry structure is definitely more, say, prohibitive of converting into doors, windows to doors. Framing, I think, is okay. This actual example of what might have been a frame door opening became a wider door opening. That's a different conversation. On this application specifically, the first time around, my big concern was how we were engaging with the second floor. We're already cutting into the side of the roof, which we would not typically approve. So in my opinion, the commission has already deviated from the norm to accommodate the connector that we have. And now we're asking to deviate from the norm even further to support a use that I would not approve.
Yeah, I think in that case, taking your comments to heart, trying to keep it within 2 drawer spaces of that roof to get over there. Okay, I mean, in just sort of understanding some of the thoughts and the parameters here. I mean, the place that we could conceptually step back to is maintaining that existing historic roof with slope with a proposed deck over top, but that just gives us a different issue to deal with the building department with that access and window, right? Which, I'm just trying to feel out what we may need to deal with down the road if we try and propose modifications to this.
I would make the case of, you've got that space to the right now. It's kind of a little bit of a pocket. There's, I think, some dining chairs out there on the patio. We have an elevated deck there. That's basically, I would treat that part of the new connector. That's, to me, it's a perfect place for it. It's not reusing the existing structure. It'll be a little bit extra structure on the applicant, the client to fund, but I could potentially get behind that if we talk about it as part of the new addition.
Trying to support a deck on an old structure has its own costs too, as well. No, I mean, that's a helpful comment though too, just to
sort of understand, maybe talk with our client about their goals a little bit about that.
Sure.
Any other thoughts or concerns?
I know the chin removal was talked about.
We kind of hit on the big ones.
Yeah. That's an unfortunate thing. but
Yeah.
We should put it first place.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask this question, the 4 decks, whether it's on a new structure or if someone is crazy enough to come in here and propose on a historic roof, let's say, is there a preferred direction for those as far as the railings are concerned, like between wood or metal or anything, material, considerations? This is a question that we've just been talking about in the office and wondering how best to present this, but that materiality, there's a lot of them are wood, some of them are parapets, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say a number of parapets.
Yeah.
I know we've got a bunch, there's examples all over. A lot of the older ones are wood.
Mhm.
A lot of the ones that you showed were wood. The Urban Ranch, Santine's house on Sick or Beck
That's
and
it.
Fifth, facing Fetch Park, they've got an
Yeah.
iron railing up there.
I will say though, I don't know how that light illuminated rail got approved.
I agree.
Yes. I know.
Well, they have it on their building on Macon Alley,
During those auto house.
daughter house, and we thought it looked good there. We thought, okay, on the back.
I disagree with that.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing now.
Those are 2 examples of iron.
I'm not disagreeing now.
I think the
Yeah.
iron railing itself turned out well. I think it can be done in a very delicate, kind of narrow.
The idea is that it goes away as much as possible.
Yeah.
In certain cases.
I didn't vote for that. So just.
There's some examples of aircraft cable,
Yeah.
railings, which.
Yeah.
could
Which is
disappear.
what
Auto house.
auto houses, yeah.
Mhm.
I think that for elevated, my personal opinion is the thinner, the more delicate, the better.
Yeah.
More simple, the better, so they can just disappear. I think some of the wood ones just get too bulky. It looks like a deck.
Yeah.
Something.
I think you've answered my concern. The less I can see it, the better.
Right, yeah, yeah.
I didn't even want to know there's a deck up, to be honest.
Yeah. Exactly, and I think, barring other issues, that's, sort of the intent needs some work, but, okay.
My opinion, elevated decks, it's a modern vernacular of construction.
Yeah, I agree.
So it goes with the additions.
Okay.
They're cool. I love second floor decks.
Great.
Yeah, they are great.
Okay.
We're talking about historic buildings.
Okay. No, I mean, trying to understand how to frame that, with that sort of request also is helpful. Because, when we come up against that, just the issues that it raises, in different contexts, you always get more insight. So I appreciate that.
I think there's also the fact of we are, I won't say overbuilding, but we're building more and more space and living closer and closer together because of that.
Mhm.
And there should be some consideration socially of what you're doing to your neighbors.
Mhm.
There's nothing in the guidelines.
Yeah.
It just, what does being a good neighbor mean?
We've asked those questions in previous applications for elevated decks of, what's the view? What do you see? What are you looking into? It came up back by the auto house. That was a question there. What's the
Yeah,
sight line
we
looking
did ask
out?
that question.
And they're surrounded by garages. You couldn't see. Okay, fine. No, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
We
We did ask that question. And like, well,
had that question on the 3 properties over there by Taco Bell, at their church,
mm,
Pearl Alley.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
The rooftop.
That presentation.
deck. So putting something up there, try to pull it back, try to make it seem less like a rooftop patio
Yeah.
and more a private space.
Yeah.
So it comes up in conversation and A lot of times if the neighbors hear about it, they have an opinion.
Can't imagine.
There's some lack of, or loss of privacy. As of,
Okay. Well, I think that's good and will help us sort of think through this and help coach them through what may need to happen if they want something. Okay.
Also make the case, functionally speaking, if you're coming off a sitting room, sitting room is more of a public space as opposed to a home office.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. All right, we have one application to go back to, item 6. The applicant will not be here, staff will be representing the applicant, GV-23-09-041 Bravo, 592 South Third Street.
Yes, this application is for signage, to reface an existing sign. The photos are not sure refacing though, but it is to reface the existing sign now. It is 36 inches by 36 inches for 9 square feet. The sign on the west elevation. The sign is to be white with, the agenda does say blue type on a metal sign, but I'll get into that in just a minute. Staff analysis of the September hearing, application GB-23-09-041 was split, with part A being approved for tree removal and part B being continued for the sign installation. The applicant revised their application to reface the existing sign rather than install a second sign. The following is taken from the now approved September 2023 GBC hearing minutes, commissioner comments. The commissioners agreed they could approve a second sign for the building, and that any new sign would need to be smaller than 6 square feet if attached to brick. If the existing sign is refaced, the sign can be grandfathered in its existing size. Commissioners confirmed that a sign placed in the window would be within the purview of the German Village Commission, and commissioners generally support the sign design, noting no phone numbers would be allowed on the sign. At the October business meeting, the commission requested the applicant verify if the frame would remain and what the materials are for the sign. Staff recommendation, staff recommends approval of the all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate with the following conditions. But condition being, the applicant is to revise their materials to show the sign as the only sign for COA stamping prior to the issuance of certificate. The basis for the recommendation is 301-613, standard for site improvement C, and the German Village Guidelines, design considerations, guidelines for graphics and signage. And speaking of the applicant today, there are a few things that have been answered now and a few things that have been changed. The new sign will be within the existing frame that is on the house, so the frame will stay. The frame, however, is currently bronze. They would like to paint the frame, the existing frame, to match the trim. So it'll be that dark gray color, which I apologize, it is in the email that I have from the applicant. It is either Sherwin-Williams iron ore or Sherwin-Williams tricorn black, but I don't know which. The other change is that the sign, everything that is blue will be black. But there are no changes to the actual design beyond that. And the applicant did say they'd be willing to create new drawings to be submitted for stamping, showing no second sign, but the sign being inside of the existing frame.
Will the background be white?
The background will be white, so it'll be black font on a black font on a white background. The logo will also be changed to black, so it'll be one color sign. They can attend next month if the commission does not feel comfortable approving the application without them present.
Any questions or comments?
what they're proposing is fine. I walked by this the other day, walking the dog, and I actually think that framed sign is nothing more than a picture frame. Do you agree? Have you looked?
Just looking at the photo.
It looks like it's falling apart. It's nothing more than an aluminum frame with the plastic insert corner. So I thought it on that glass, but okay, fine. Whatever they want to do, I think it's okay. With what they're proposing. Not whatever they want to do.
I can fight that. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
What we've talked about done the press test meeting.
Yeah.
Just update the colors.
Yep. No problem with painting the frame.
There's no questions or concerns?
And where are we at with the tree top?
The tree was approved.
Did we approve it? Okay,
Yes.
that's what it was. Okay.
And it was determined last September hearing that because it's a, very unusual retreat instance, yes.
We, so adjacent to the foundation,
Yeah.
it's causing some issues.
Okay,
I wish for that.
so, item GB 2309041592 South Third Street to approved as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. And that is the end of our agenda. At the end there, is there? No business?
I move to adjourn.
Yep. Is there a second?
Good.
One of those two down there. All those in favor? Any questions, on the motion?